This is Atlas Thugged. As much as we have, it's currently a media blackout right now. It's about a 10-minute video here. Get the libertarians out of this party, dude. Part of a new series I'm going to be running called Bot or Not.
I grew up as a white man, and you're the exact opposite, you know?
It's time we have a difficult conversation about race. 40 IQ points it needs to think about what is being told to you. Most people are just blatantly apathetic to what goes on around in their surroundings, let alone this play.
A trans woman's penis make you gay?
Can I define to answer that comment?
The dating market is for men your age.
I'm not a misogynist, I'm a sexist.
Right, like for example, like as a white man, I can go out and I could go right here in Columbus and scream the N-word as loud as I wanted to because I have that privilege. Those who would sacrifice a little freedom for a little convenience serves neither.
Titan says, Browns should be for whites. We were just trying to help them run a better empire.
Hey, truth.
But she's straight up, she's like, stock market. She's like, bro, like, I can't even buy a fucking house. Like,
And, probably doesn't help that half the comments are, how are you not banned on YouTube? Man, how is this guy? How's this guy not banned on YouTube? It's like, yeah, I'm sure YouTube probably picks up on those things. And they're probably wondering why so many people are saying that,
and all these top brass pundits who have some kind of association or relationship with Epstein, it's getting to the point where you got to think like I'm about to go look at my residential history and be like, did I live next to Epstein for like some time? Like, man, everyone on this planet must have some relation to Epstein. And then you go, oh, actually, no. This is because the administration is all wrapped in together with it themselves.
and I said this maybe about a year ago. What if Christianity wasn't in such a cucked position that what if Andrew Tate, like Tristan, would have went to a Christian position? Fell for it again award, #1 right here. And you know what? I can't even make fun of the audience because I fell for it too. And that's probably what I'm most pissed about. He's huffing some extreme copium. Oh yeah, sister, you definitely owned him. Hey, can I see you after tonight? It's like that's that's what you're competing up against. Because or bad jacketing him and calling him a weird little gay.
Is this like alt-right corpse husband? What am I listening
Yeah.
Okay, stop it. This guy's gonna get into statistics, stuff like that.
Oh, not statistics. Not we don't do statistics.
Welcome in to another episode of Offensively Accurate, hosted by yours truly, Atlas Thugged, and we have plenty to get into tonight. You might notice a little bit is different on my end, but you probably can't see it. So if anything's off with the audio, please let me know. I changed where the mic is positioned at because I would like more freedom with the keyboard. But with that, we have plenty to get into. We're going to talk a little bit about, obviously, the journey of the guests that we have on today. We're also going to talk a little bit about Alex Jones crashing out over Owen Schroyer, leaving Infowars. And we'll also talk about all the things with the latest as it pertains to the Epstein files too. Because we had some moments with Thomas Massey and Rokana's conference that I thought were pretty important. And the only announcement I have before we get into everything, and I introduce this lovely guest here, is there have been metrics that I've seen on the back end of YouTube. And there's also been a lot of recent comments from you guys, from Discord, in the YouTube videos. And it seems that viewers have shown that they do want me to do a lot more of the solo content, a lot more of the solo video coverage, topical news stuff. So I will be reworking that and putting that in my to-do list. So I'll be doing that at least once a week, getting back to that, because I know that was kind of mainly what I did a lot while you guys were getting used to me. So we'll go back to that. But without further ado, joining me tonight is Mr. Dan Bauer. Who are you, sir, and what do you do?
Hey, what's going on, man? Well, nice to meet you, even though we've been chatting low key for
Right.
about a half hour. But
Right.
yeah, for those that don't know, uh, I'm Dan Bauer. I'm a singer-songwriter, musician kind of guy, and yeah, I've been making music for. I'm 34. I've been making music at this point for like honestly 2 decades, low key. I started writing as soon as I picked up a guitar at 15, even
Yeah.
though I played drums before that. But in terms of like actual putting albums on Spotify out and stuff, um, that's been going on. I just put out my sixth album recently, this past spring, actually on 420. I put out my sixth album, A Man of God Through Bread and Circus, which is a preposterous, sort of pretentious Fall Out Boy type title. I get it. But it's, yeah, I guess I sort of have veered into dissident, no, I won't even say content, but like music type making. I've made a handful of music videos in the past album release cycle that have garnered a little bit of attention, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's me.
Yeah, there's you had sent me a couple of videos and I thought they're really good. The one that caught my attention was, and we talked about this in the green room, was your rant hour, which is actually different from your power hour, as I discovered. But I thought
Yeah.
it was well produced. I liked it a lot. I think I realized in my own personal journey that there is a lot more value in these kind of faceless videos. Not like fully faceless, but having a lot more to do with like the actual elements on screen, the kind of like, changing and like the things that make people, stay and watch a video and go, wow, that guy did a great job editing. And so involving a bit more of that and seeing that you were doing it too, from one editor to another, I appreciated your content.
Thank you, Da Vinci Resolve. I've never given you a cent, but yeah, no, it's cool, man. I really appreciate your professionalism too, and I'm sure people love this grab assery. So I'm fucking around.
Right.
It's no, it's great. I do really appreciate the that you take note of that type of thing.
Yeah.
It's an interesting type format. It's weird. Like as I said, I've been into music forever. Um, but I guess as I've gotten older and into my 30s and everything, it's you kind of look at the world, and say, hey, what's going on with this stuff too? There's more than just Lollapalooza or whatever. So
Right.
I think I just sort of am a creative. Just it's just how I was wired. And I'm
Right.
expressing that through some different mediums now too that aren't just musical. Although it is kind of funny because in the rant hour, basically they're like little precisely 1 hour mini documentary type rants that I do on different topics. Um, and I still score them. Like actually, I used to be a hip hop producer and rapper. And
Yeah.
the beats that are on in the background of my Bitcoin rant hour video were ones that I actually made back when I was doing hip hop. And then the stuff that is in the background of the my journey so far rant hour is music that I composed over the years, even as like dog shit quality stuff from when I was 16. So like it's fun. I like doing those too. But yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, let's get right into brass tacks. What was the thing that put you on the map here recently? I noticed that you have more followers than I do on X, and I think that it was largely a couple of the music videos you produced recently. So, kind of walk us through your kind of last few months.
Yeah. Well, actually, if I may back the camera up a little further, it was 1929 in the Sexual Institute for or whatever. Not fucking around. No, it was.
Okay, I was like, where are we going?
I'll back up less far. It was. Yeah, it was recently. I guess it's funny because those that are just now becoming familiar with me will be like, oh, here's another guy just following the masses doing the shtick or whatever because everyone's a right wing dissident now, and I'm like low key, here's the thing. When Kanye got on Alex Jones, when Kanye got on there and went
That's
ahead
funny.
and did his net and Yoo-hoo routine, I had been, like I said, I was a hip hop producer. I was really into Kanye for a while. Back in the day, I was like, and then my cover photo on Facebook, when it happened was him ripping the thing out of Taylor Swift's hands. I was
That's
like,
awesome.
yeah, but I really respected Kanye as a producer specifically for like my whole 20s. I was a huge Kanye fan.
Yeah.
And then he got on Infowars and just started talking about how much he loved Hitler. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard. And so, of course, I was just
That's
like
funny.
looking at the discourse of all that online. And inevitably, there were like a handful of people being like, no, he actually made some fair points. You should watch this, look this up, check this out. And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, this seems crazy, but I guess I'll look into it. And I did. And I was like, whoa, hold on.
Right.
Everything makes a lot more sense now. Like when this factor that had been just cast off into sort of the shadowy corner of the room, it's like, yeah, but if you expose that to some light, actually, it turns out there's just some straight, honest truth here. This isn't like anything
Right.
more than that. It's just like what occurred. Like, so I found it very interesting. And then
Yeah.
when I discovered that was about November-ish of 2022 when he went on that rampage. And then I just went down the rabbit hole, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people do. And I
Right.
just started researching. I'm like, dude, I think most things I've been told are a freaking lie. So eventually I
Right.
was convicted enough in the summer of 2023. I only wanted to do a one-off song. I didn't have a plan to do like an album or whatever. I kind of thought I did. Um, in some ways have a theme going, but the rest of the album came later. But initially I wrote the song called World War II. And I hate it when people write songs that are just like titled like that. That's my one regret, that I
Yeah.
just titled it World War II. But regardless, the I wrote I wrote that in mid 2023, and I wrote it in it's basically a song exposing that simply the World War II narrative is a bunch of nonsense, and what else does that mean? Like,
Right.
what else you know what I mean? Like, if
Well,
the
it's
heroes might not have been the heroes, the villains might have been a little bit different than we thought. Some of the
yeah.
motivations were different. The things my issue is just that the narrative that we've been fed has largely inverted people's the mainstream perception of like good and evil and morality and how people work. It's like the big lesson that we're supposed to take away, the sort of broad strokes elementary middle school level explanation you get and that's instilled into people even
Yeah.
beyond that via like media, movies, whatever, is some people are just evil. And hey, if there's some psychos that can snap and just hate people because of who they are, and you better not act like or be like or look into the history of any of them.
Yeah.
Um, like, and
Don't
if you
look.
yeah, and if you start standing for the same like or against the same things that they were standing against, well, then what are you up to? Are you the next one? You know, or what are you bringing the Zyklon canisters over the border? It's like, dude, I'm no, like we're allowed to look into historical events, like because I
Right.
think they're very consequential. And then and so anyway, I found out some more intel about all that, and I'm like, wow, this is something. And so it was mid 2023 when oddly enough, I released 2 albums in 2023, like, one on June 6th that was 6 songs, and it was called My Demons in Me, and there was another one, so 666, and then there was another one on July 7th that was 7 songs. 777 was Divinity Infinity, so it's kind of a
Okay.
bifurcated
Nice.
type thing. Yeah, but anyway, as I was doing that, I was already, like, gearing up for the next album, and I wrote the World War II song and made a music video in which I basically just sat there and kinda showed imagery that sorta depicted the points that I was getting at about the inverted nature of, like, morality and
Right.
reality, and I had it finished in, like, August. I was, like, done with it then, and I was like, man, like, I think maybe this is a bit much because this is before October 7th. You know what I mean? Like, this was like
Right.
people were starting to kind of question things because of like what Kanye did, and not that there hadn't been people before him, like frankly, Michael Jackson and like all sorts of other, Ky- Kyrie Irving, you know what I mean? Like different
Right. Right.
celebrities, artists, athletes, whoever, that were raising these questions. But I I just kinda came into, like, I had to confront the new info, you know what I mean? Otherwise, I would be just sort of rooting for the laundry like a sports fan. I'm like, no, I've always rooted for the Allies or what. And I'm like, I'm not really
Right.
rooting for anyone. I'm just trying to figure out what's like true. And so yeah, like I say, I just am a creative. It's just how I'm wired. It's how
Right.
God built me or whatever. And like I am making so I decided to make that music video, and I sat on it for like several months because I'm like, this is gonna like ruin every relationship and whatever that I have. I'm like,
Right.
it's probably not even gonna be allowed to be uploaded. So
Yeah.
that's when I'm like, I guess I'll be on Twitter more or whatever. And so I uploaded it to Twitter. Funny enough, I was actually going to a friend's birthday, or not a birthday, a wedding, a friend's wedding. I had moved out to Colorado, and then I came back to New Hampshire for the or wherever I was in New England for the wedding,
Yeah.
and I went I went back home for it, and the wedding was. And I remember I was sitting there because I had finished it in August, and I was sitting there for like 2 months, and I was like, should I release this? Should I release this? Should I release this? I'm gonna go like literally not to whatever. I'm sure there's been other underground people that have done stuff like this, but I'm like, this
Yeah.
sort of is a I don't want to say mold breaking video, but I'm like, there really isn't other people out here doing shit like this right now. So I'm like,
Right.
it's a bit much. Let's see if I should still do this. And so I was like, I'll do it the day I come back from my friend's wedding because I don't want to interfere with the thing or be like the whatever. And the wedding was on October 7th. So 2023. So I was like,
Wow.
so I came back and I hyped myself up and I was like, all right, all right, all right. I'm just gonna get through this. And then when that's done, I'll like fucking release the thing. And then I come back and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, couldn't you guys have waited a day or whatever? I didn't mean it like
Right.
that. But like, I'm like, this is I'm like, well, now I can't because like now something serious has happened and everyone was being slaughtered and I'm trying to be respectful and whatever.
Right.
And even at the time, I'm like, all right, well then, maybe there's more wrinkles to this. I've only known about this stuff for like 9 or 10 months or something. Maybe I'll like look more into it. Though I was trying to be pretty studious. I wasn't necessarily just sitting there, oh, I'm believing all the propaganda and whatever. Like I
Yeah.
was trying to just be objective, honestly, and it just so happens that I believe the reality is closer to that we've been lied to than that we've been told the truth. But
Exactly.
and so anyway, it's another couple months went by, and I'm like, you know what, fuck it, I have to. It's now or never. What am I going to not release this video? So I
Right.
went ahead and did it in like December of 2023, and yeah, like like you mentioned, like Sam Parker had reposted it, which I was really grateful for. And eventually, yeah, Jake Shields did later. I just kept pushing it. I just kept being like, anyone interested in fucking checking out this video? I know there's some other people out here who are like looking
Right.
into this and thinking something's askew societally. You know what I mean?
Right.
And-
Well, I guess one thing with this too, let me because this is it's a lot. It's so much. And I guess let's zoom out because I think the framing here is very particular. Because a similar thing happened to me where you're basically going from normie politics to conservative politics to full on dissident in a span of like, 4 or 5 years. And
yeah, for sure.
same thing happened to me with COVID. COVID basically kind of blew the door off the hinges for me. I wasn't paying attention to politics. I basically kind of turned my back to it. I'd absorbed the normie world. My main concerns were like the Cavaliers winning a championship and like, I think I was worried about worldly things. And to me, everything was all good. And then COVID happens. I'm kind of forced to look at things because there's nothing else to do. It opens me up. I end up following Tim Pool. I followed Tim Pool for a while. And then in short notice, I realized Tim Pool is a gatekeeper. He's lying to me. He's got hands in pockets that aren't America's. And then
Genies.
it's 2023 happens too, same like you. And then boom, it's just like, it's hitting me so quickly. And then going along with my Christian journey as well too. So I guess kind of speak to the feeling of how it feels because I basically you go your entire life believing one thing. And then in a short span of time, you're believing actually like quite the opposite. And also you feel it kind of hits you like, it's true. It's like intuitively, it's like, this is true, not the other stuff you've been getting fed. So I guess kind of speak to that and like what it's like feeling like the truth, but if you were to ever share it, your livelihood's gone.
Disassociating. I'd say it feels a little bit disassociating or a little bit like sort of socially alienating at the very least. It's like odd. It's odd to go back into the world, post COVID. Because it's funny, I actually didn't even know that. Hey, chat, we didn't plan this out. But I'm like, I didn't even know that you also had sort of awoken around COVID, or at least got a little started to take your villain arc turn
Yeah.
around the same time. I feel like I sort of did too, which which is funny. I say that tongue in cheek, because I don't think I'm a villain at all. I'm like, dude,
Right.
I think I'm just being like honest. I'm just being like observant and
Right.
largely unfiltered. Do you know what I mean? It's
And they
not
hate that.
that isn't hate. People love to conflate uncomfortable truth discussions with like hate, and I'm like,
Right.
you're manipulating things, and I'm very aware of it. So,
Right.
but I started to become a lot more aware of it after after COVID, because COVID happened, and probably similar to you, I wasn't exactly one of Dr. Fauci's patients. So
Right.
I'm like, yeah,
Right.
no, I'm all set. And so when that happened initially, again, yeah, I was like I remember when it happened, I was posting like John Oliver clips and shit about like what to do about COVID. And I'm like, I was such a normie. It actually happened on my birthday. They shut down the thing on my birthday. Like
Oh,
that
that
was
sucks.
March 15th. Yeah, I was so pissed.
Oh
But
man.
it was funny. But then we had the rest of basically that spring and summer, yeah, to your point, like doing basically dick. And I was like,
Right.
well, and then I just started to at first I was like, okay, all right, there's nothing like this has ever happened before. I guess I'll cooperate. And then it's like, yeah, they just keep like me as a pretty politically neutral guy, or at the very least, sort of oscillated between conservative and liberal things, just whatever I kind of thought was moral or whatever. Um,
Right.
but but it was all clouded by a big air of like deception. I've realized now, and I think I'm just seeing more clairvoyantly through the lies and the fog of deception. But
Yeah.
yeah, when COVID happened, I was like, um, it was really when they started being like, "Oh, it's 14 days from now, you guys will be good," and they're like, "I promise by Easter," and then it was like, probably maybe in the spring or in the fall of 2021 we can get back to concerts." I'm like, "What the
Right.
fuck?" I'm like, dude, you're lying. I just kind of realized quickly. I'm like, no, you're fucking lying. And then
Yeah.
a couple friends would like post little things being sort of anti the agenda on my feed, or I'd see it like on my feed and stuff. It'd be like old footage of what happened to people that got all fucked up from like the polio vaccine or the Spanish flu or stuff like that. And
Right.
I'm like, well, that's interesting. And I'm like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna go ahead and wait. I'm gonna sit this one out. It and I'm like Googling, I'm like, how long does it typically take to make vaccines? And they're like, oh, it's like a decade. And I'm like,
Right.
a few months. I'm like, it's kind of weird. And so I'm
Well,
like,
it was
you
kind
know
of
what,
like
isn't it?
one of those moments where I think that was really it showed, that kind of copy pasta that goes around talking about how women think and like low T men, like their thinking metric is largely the boundary of their thinking metric is, did other people say this too? It's consensus. Whereas like
Yeah.
high T men and autistic men, they don't need it. They have their own independent filter where they can go, is this true? They don't need to look at consensus or other people to garner their own independent idea. And that's what I think COVID largely was. I think that wasn't even really, I think that was like not the full game plan. I think that was the test. It was to see, where is the population currently? How much can we abuse them? How many men are actually even still men now at this point? And that's what I got from it, which was they were trying to get their gauge of, if we did do this, what are we looking at number wise? Who's actually going to push back against it? And they probably got a satisfactory answer. And that's probably what led to them even keeping it going for so long, because they might not even thought it was going to be as successful as it was when they first launched it. Like, surely people will riot after being shoved in their homes and businesses shut down after 2 weeks. Nope. We got months into it before people started really getting irritated about it. And I think that kind of showed just that general level of, apathy. I don't even know if it's like that people are, just sheep necessarily, even though they are, but I think it just showed apathy. Like, we even have it in our side in the dissident group, like just a lot of people complaining and very little action being taken. It's like, it's great that and can recite every Ryan Dawson video from 2011, but like, can you say that to somebody else? Can you like push it in an area it needs pushed? Can you like defend? Can you do something with it besides complain to me who already agrees with you? like let's take this message elsewhere.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And well, I was gonna, to move from there though. The political aspect though is massive, and so I'm kind of curious though. One element in there that I didn't really kind of get from your video I'd watched. Where did the Christianity aspect come in? Because I think a lot of people, they can politically move without religiously being involved. So I'm kind of curious, when did the Christianity aspect come in that 2020 to 2025 like window?
Well, I guess maybe we should have chatted about this before. I'm still sort of on my journey. I
Right.
don't really, I read the Gospel of John. Like, I'm still kind of like easing. You know what I mean? I grew
Yeah.
up extremely like religious in my house. Here's
Chat
the thing, like
Bantam.
yeah.
I'm messing.
Wait, what's up?
No, I said I was just messing.
Oh yeah. But yeah, it was never really a part of my life. Now it's interesting. It's definitely been interesting the past few years, because I'm starting to see that there is a lot of like validity to this. At the here's where I'm at so far. Maybe I'll graduate to more. Maybe I'll just I know this doesn't win me any favors on this particular podcast. Like, but
You're good, bro.
all right, who knows where I'll land? I'm still sort of in the process right now, but at the very least, I will admit that it seems very clear to me that like a Christian society is we were much better served when we were that, like
Right.
people function more civilly. And I agree. The only the only issue that I guess I have right now is just trying to discern. Um, I think I could get into Christianity depending on the way that I interpreted it, or the way that I had it the way that I could come to an understanding that was sort of satisfactory to my unending spigot of clarifying questions. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I do think that there's a lot of like pros that I can clearly observe. Um, and someday maybe I'll settle on something a little more formal in that department. But
Right.
I agree with a lot of the because there's some churches you drive by and they have like, and I know the church isn't like the institution of the church isn't the physical building of the church, like I get, but like
Right.
when
Yeah,
people
depending
when
on the sect.
people yeah. Yeah, exactly. And there's just so many different denominations. I tried to go to a couple different churches to see if they're kind of to my liking over the past couple of years, but I guess I just haven't found one yet. Maybe I'll have to move to Oklahoma and see Steven Anderson. I'm fucking around. I'm fucking around. I don't know if you know who that is. That pastor is all us like clips. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Find the
I
based
don't.
one.
Wait, what's up?
You just gotta find a based one. That's what most
Well,
people
yeah,
do.
that's kind of what I'm trying to say. Like, I yeah, and I'd like to I don't know, not
Well, I get what you're
there's
saying, because where you're at is like the Pascal's wager kind of position, where you haven't committed personally to the ideology, but you do recognize the objective benefit of it. And and it's not Pascal. Maybe it was Pascal who said this, but there's a quote that generally accompanies this, which is, even if it's not true, the other option besides people doing things for good in the nature of defeating demons, it's like the opposite side of that is like, why would you even want that? It's like, even if this isn't true, this is how people should behave. They should want to fight for righteousness, justice, and innocence, and freedom and liberty, and oppose all of those things that are not that, right? Which is like degeneracy and such. And so I get that, because there's a lot of people I think that are, even in the Groyper movement as well too, probably haven't made it to that position yet, but they do obviously understand the kind of foreign co-opt and the clear influence, and the specific influence in the highest institutions as well. Like, those things are very easily, you don't have to believe in those things, you just have to have them pointed out to you and you go, oh wow, that's crazy. Whereas the obviously Christianity and the faith and all the barriers that kind of push out against it, you also end up getting that kind of feeling and vibe of where you see Christian churches, but they're wearing rainbow sashes and praising homosexuality. So it's like, there's a certain level where I would imagine someone who might not be looks at that and they think it's a bunch of hokey pokey. And I couldn't blame them either, because a lot of Christianity hasn't done a good job, being the vanguard against evil of what it should have been. But no, I do appreciate that answer, and I won't press you on too much further. I had assumed you were based on some of the language that you'd used in the video, but that could have just been my misunderstanding.
No, it's all good, and it's funny because I think some of the values have bled over and etc. But yeah,
right.
But I hear you, and I appreciate the non-pressing. But even if you pressed me on it for the next 90 minutes, I wouldn't have a satisfactory answer one way or another. So it's kind of a journey. You know what I mean?
No, not here to press you at all. No, I guess the reason why it makes me curious then is largely the paradigm of which, like, take Nick Fuentes, for example, the paradigm of which he is looking at the problem is Christianity, right? Because again, you have Christianity, Islam, Judaism, the three big pillars. They all oppose each other. They all hate each other. So that's how most people their paradigm comes from that viewpoint, right? Of Christianity versus Judaism versus Islam on ecclesiastical grounds, and it has a lot more ties to religion. So I guess you're more so opposing it just from the objective, pragmatic, practical grounds, which is the World War II history. And I agree with you. I don't even think you have to go to Christianity to look at it. I guess it's maybe more so a minor position, I guess. But
yeah,
the crazy stuff is how easily you can find things that just don't make sense. I think like the mathematics of a lot of it, you look at some of the doors of a lot of it. And so I guess, what are some of the things then that you found with this that were making you go, oh, this is all fake. This is BS, beyond like just the Kanye aspect? What were like the things that you looked at and were like, wait a minute, there's no way this is true?
Yeah, when he pulled out the fly swatter, I was convinced. No, I'm fucking around. But no. But and to clarify, I do think there certainly was some suffering. I think there was certainly some whatever. But do I think it was? I mean, how many people died in World War II? Like 80 million or something like that. It's like we're bombarded culturally, uniquely about this one specific angle of it. And frankly, it's like I have German ancestry, you know what I mean? Like I'm where do you think Bauer, you know what I mean? Like and I'm like, yeah, I don't know why excuse me, why is it according to who that I have to go through my whole life just sitting here like accepting all my ancestors were scumbags, even though literally my ancestors were like ally fighters for the US, but you know what I mean? Like people of my ilk and stuff. I'm like, must I endorse that narrative? Like what, why? I disagree with that. And like, when I just look at the reality of it, what really, okay, you're looking for some specifics. I'm just like, and I know there's a bunch of debunking videos to the debunkers and all that too. Like, and you can go all day, but I mean, there's just like a ton of it that is really off. Like for instance, I'm like, oh yeah, England bombed Germany first. Like, just look at the dates on a calendar. Like, there's nothing. There's no like fucking way you can't manipulate me now into saying that like. Because all I ever heard my whole life was like, oh, Hitler bombed London and all this. I'm like, yeah, like didn't they start it? Like he kind of asked, he kind of like, in the stuff, just actually, it's funny because like I listened to like the full audiobook of Mein Kampf because I'm like, I don't know if and of course there were some things that I objected to and whatever, and I'm not like waving pom-poms for everyone on everything they do or whatever, but but largely I was like shocked. I was like, I thought that this was just going to be, because it was after I started learning about some of the stuff. And then I'm like, all right, maybe this guy is a scumbag. Let me, you know what? I'm going to go straight to the source. I don't want to hear anyone's paraphrasing. And granted, I'm taking a translation, but like, I try to be thorough with make sure I got a good one, but like, and I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe, I'm like, all right, maybe I'm having other people tell me maybe it's not what I thought it was. Maybe I'll just take the guy and listen to him. And I listened to him and I'm like, half of like the like the first several hours that I was listening to was complaining about like the social democrats and stuff. I'm like, this is like I'm like, this is like a statesman. This is like a politically minded guy who used to be a soldier and was like a hardcore nationalist. And also the things that he would talk about being like, he would describe some of the phenomena that like I see today in society about like every day things get a little bit more meager and like blah blah blah, like
Right.
the personal life struggles that will go on between husband and wife and drinking and like because times are tough and the whole thing. And I'm like,
Right.
yeah, like, yeah, exactly. Like, fucking, like, I get it. But really, a lot of just the sheer, like you said, the thing, I think you randomly, offhandedly mentioned the Doors. I mean, and not Jim Morrison, but like of the wooden variety. And I started looking into, yeah, things like, what's his face? The name escapes me right now. He's like, I'm pretty sure he's still alive. The dude who did all the, it's not Ernst Zundel, but the guy that actually did when David, not David Cole too. David Cole is Jewish, but like the
You're
who's the
thinking of the
guy
guy who
that
oh my
the
god.
gas chamber expert who then got
Yes.
like
Well, I think he's
questioned about his legitimacy of being an expert or whatever. Got
isn't
like
he in prison right now? Didn't he get
I think
arrested recently?
I think they gave him some shit about like, oh, you pretended like you were like an engineer or something to that effect. But
Yeah.
anyway, just some of the points that are raised on those fronts, and especially like actually David Cole's interview on Maury was pretty funny, like, or not funny, but like it's very insightful. Go watch the episode of like literally David Cole and Mark Webber on Maury. This was like a
Yeah.
debate on like daytime television like 20 30 years ago. Now you
Right.
can't say anything about anything, but like they had literally like talked about whether this was exaggerated. I was like, these are all very fair points, and I'm like, let me see where these threads lead. And just some of the stuff about like where's the just the number of people, like the guy that went on Good Morning America or whatever it was with Dan Harris and started talking about the apple that his wife threw over the fence, and then he comes out, he's like, oh, it was real in my mind. I'm like, well, then
Yeah.
it wasn't real, dude.
Well, you
Like,
get all these like extremely blown out of the water like stories, and like I think Zeb, our friend over at outside the Overton, nails it. Like, we're over here with like ninth generation Holocaust survivors, and it's like, well, what? Like, are you 400 years old?
hold on.
Like, what?
If I may, that's another thing that I found crazy. I'm like, God, like there's like dated articles from like 10 years ago and now like 5 years ago, and like the totals that they will claim of
Yeah,
the amount of people that are still alive are like way, like they keep increasing, and then they keep
bro.
changing the definition of what it even means to be a
But
survivor or whatever, or even,
do
and I'm
you
like,
see the
now it's like,
stories though, where it's like where the story will be like, this Islamic, this Islamic terrorist, happened to like go into the store and steal the gas station. And it turns out the gas station owner is an 8th generation Holocaust survivor. It's like they just throw it in there. It's like there's no way everyone, it's like the same way that no way Epstein is connected with everyone in the White House. There's
yeah,
no
yeah,
way
yeah.
that there are that many Holocaust 8th generation survivors.
I find it like it's not that I'm like trying to dump on anyone who actually suffered or like any of this stuff, but like what am I not allowed? Like it's like I'm being asked generally. I mean, not me personally. I don't have some victim complex, but like me, like just the layman is being asked to believe in something that when you look into it more might have some very very valid questions about it, and that doesn't mean that like you're some fucking monster or whatever. It just means I'm not beholden to the same guilt trip that you'd like me to be to
Right,
advance your own political cause. Like
right,
I'm not beholden to the morality that you would like to hold me to, which is one that is based off what appear to be very dodgy facts. You know what I mean? Like
right.
and and I just don't like the imposition. I think it's incredibly unfair and ridiculous. Like
Well,
you in the shaming, and the monstering and the caricaturizing of people and turning them into like knuckle draggers. Like it's either you're mean spirited or you're an idiot that falls for propaganda, or you're just a dumbass, or you're like trying to be some sort of like, look at me, I'm so hard dissident. It's like, dude,
right.
no, like not everyone
Well,
is. Some people are just like intellectually curious, and this appears to be very intellectually odd.
well, I
You
think,
know?
well, for me, I think there's one rule that will always reign supreme. And it's a term, it's like pragmatically, right? Like let's step away from Christianity. And that rule is, if you want to know who rules over you, look to those you cannot criticize.
I think Voltaire.
Yeah, right, exactly. And what do you have in the majority of countries in Europe, if not all of them, is that it is a punishable by law offense to question the narrative. And it's not even a matter of like, if you were to come out and say like extremely aggressive things, like in a PC first world, I would get that. But it's a matter of like, you even have, and forgive me, I always forget his name. One of the moderators will know who I'm talking about. He did a recent debate, and he's been on Jake Shields, I think, twice now. And I think he is now in prison again. As soon as he had the Jake Shields debate, they arrested him when he came back home because he spoke out about the Holocaust narrative. And he's not even positioning. He's not even postulating about the narrative itself. He's a chemist. And he's trying to talk about the gas and like what things that he says like does not make sense about the gas in particular. And you can't even, as a scientist, like a research scientist who's been to college, somebody may know his name. I'll try to keep my eye out for the name. Yeah. It's a very German name. That's why I'm not remembering it, but you can find it on Rumble.
I think I should know.
Yeah, well, he did a thing with that, right? Yeah, I guess it gives you German, but that was one of the things that really pushed it over the edge for me, was like listening to that guy on the podcast talk about how hard it was the first time he went to prison, how hard it was on his family and his children. And then I'm listening to that podcast, I finish it. Then one of the people in my Discord messages me and they say, oh yeah, they arrested him as soon as he finished this episode again. I'm like, dude, like that made me angry. And it's not even just in Europe, it's here in America too. Now, obviously Germar Rudolph, thank you, House, I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, Germar Rudolph, yeah.
Yes, look him up. Yeah, Germar Rudolph, maybe I'm saying it wrong. Forgive me, I'm Albanian or whatever, buddy.
Grandma Rudolph.
That's funny. But that's what drove it for me. And then you see it here in America. You see the way Nick Fuentes is treated. You see the way that basically anybody who would even have anything close to that ideology is gone. And it's not even to say you need to have the ideology to question it, but anything that gets close to questioning it gets pushed, shadow pressed, suppressed, and censored. And that was enough for me to go, even if it's not everything that they're saying, there's clearly something here that pokes holes in what I'm being told, in the mainstream. And that's kind of where I arrived to it. And then I think Christianity pushed it over the edge for me, seeing how all these verses in the Bible that speak explicitly to Jews. And like, I've been a Christian my entire life. And I'm like, why was this not like more emphasized? I guess like it was kind of omitted, and then I think about it in church and I'm like, yeah, all the time they talk all this BS about Muslims, but they never say anything about Jews. That's kind of curious. So I'm like, I'm thinking about that. And then you arrive in the big 2025. And now here I am with all the recency stuff with Jeffrey Epstein, the connections to Israel, the way that kind of goes back. All of these things are kind of little grains of sand that have built up in my head that maybe I didn't take anywhere, but it's too much for me to just shove it aside. It's like, there's something here. You're not allowed to talk about it. Anybody that does talk about it, you never hear from them again. So
Forevermore.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Right. And that one's sad. I love the Whitest Kids, that was so brutal because he was, in the same vein as you, an extreme creative. I mean, the guy had a beautiful mind. The guy was doing great wonders. I think the one video about how not to take out a president at the White House is like one of the greatest videos I've ever seen.
Tell me that after. Funny enough, I sort of was into Whitest Kids, like things weren't as available. You can just find clips of everything everywhere all the time back in like 2010 or whatever. But I didn't I never got I wasn't really based or anything back then, but I liked him. I thought they were funny, but like in the same vein as like an Eric Andre or Nathan For You or something, like it wasn't or more like a Tim and Eric, I guess. It wasn't as it was just kind of slapstick insanity for me at the time. But now I'm just like, oh wow, and there's a lot of subtext here too. It's very interesting, Like it was funny.
I know. You look a little bit deeper into some of their stuff, and you're like, it's clear that like maybe it was just Trevor, but it's clear that he had a specific kind of bent, and he clearly wanted to bury some of that subtext in there. I'm glad that you know the Whitest Kids, because to me they were very pivotal. Lord forgive me. In like high school, I think it was like 14, 15 years old when I was consuming all their stuff. Call of Duty. Somebody said the Slow Jerk video. That one was hilarious. I think the first one I ever saw was the Jizzle. I think that. I feel
like I need to refresh myself. I've only seen the handful. I like the waiter in training one where they're at the fucking restaurant and they're like, and it's like Timmy and he's like the understudy at Dick's Last Resort type place. You know what I mean? And he just starts going way overboard with the disses. Yeah, it's so funny.
Dude, the pizza for breakfast one's good.
What's actually tremendous are both of the recent movies that Zach Kreger from Whitest Kids made. He's very good as a filmmaker. Oh my god,
he's like the shorter one, right?
No, that's Timmy. He's Zach Krager's like the skinny, lanky, totally nondescript brunette white guy, like absolutely no extraordinary features.
Really?
But
With glasses or no glasses guy?
no glasses. But
Okay.
yeah, no glasses as far as I remember seeing him. Maybe he had some. I don't know. I don't. But he did Barbarian, and then he just did Weapons, which is out in theaters right now. Both tremendous. I highly recommend both. They're very
Okay.
good movies.
I'll go
It's like
check
a
them
horror
out.
movie. They're horror movies with odd things. Anyway, one thing I really wanted to not to pivot,
No, you
take a
good.
complete 90-degree here on a dime. But one thing I was just thinking too, I didn't want to interrupt you prior when you were talking about some stuff, but
You're fine.
a couple things I forgot to mention when you were like, "Oh, what are some of the things?" And then I just start talking about how I listen to my cough, and you're like, "Oh, well, that's of course." Like some of the there
There
were
we
some
go.
practical things too. There were some practical things too. It was like you had mentioned the thing with like the gas and the Germa Rudolph. One thing that I was like, what is with the fact that there was like a maternity ward? Someone needs to explain how there were several thousand live babies delivered on site in like a death
Right.
camp. I'm like, that literally, you're being purposefully obtuse by ignoring that if you're presented with that detail and then
Right.
you just ignore that. I'm like, you can't then tell me that it's still exactly what you told me it is. Like,
Right.
you
And I
can't
think
say
there's
that.
even like
Like,
pools, right? Like, isn't there
yeah,
mention of pools?
and the pools and like some footage of like it's funny because like now X is around, but I was like, damn, I gotta look. I'm like, is there any real info about any of this stuff? I'm like going on bitch shoot and all this bullshit. I'm like, dude, like there's no.
Right.
I'm like, it was very hard to find any real like intel. And but yeah, I mean, I've seen like footage of like people who and these are like interviews that were filmed in like the 80s or whatever of some women who she was like, oh, I was a midwife or 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 maybe actually it was a girl who was in there at the time who was like, yeah, and they did like a Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, play for us, and like we put on the whole thing and did the costumes, and I was writing out the notes on piano and all this stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's something. And then you look into like they were having fencing tournaments, and they were having like guards versus inmates, like soccer matches, and there's like films of it you can go look at, and I'm like, that's a bit different, like, than what I was told, and they have
Yeah.
orchestras and shit. And even, like, the things that you read and then and some of me just thinks, it's actually funny 'cause it's actually a picture that I used in my World War II video. One other thing I looked up, and, like, one thing was that, like, NSDAP, when they took over, it was very, like, they were the first to put in animal welfare laws, and I just thought that was so striking. I'm like,
Yeah.
what do you mean they put in like animal welfare protection laws and they were like these monster scumbags? I'm like, I don't know if that really comports with each other. And so,
Exactly.
yeah, and let alone that, and like let alone the things about like giving like the mother, Medal of Honor, not really Medal of Honor, but like you're a great mother, you get like I don't know if you ever looked into like the stuff, the German Mother's Cross of Honor or something like that, where like they would give it
Huh.
to like the oh, I don't know if you looked into this, but they would like it's like an award that they would have like a fucking like award given out on like a national level to like good moms. Like just a special little like, hey, you get the front airplane seat, you get the front bus ticket, you get a reduced price on the thing,
That's
because
crazy.
you've raised like X amount of number of German children who are in good standing and you don't have any like criminal history and you keep them well dressed. But like being a
That's
good
crazy.
mother, you got straight up like rewarded from the state. So let alone even that, I'm just like the things that have nothing to do with the things that just have to do with like goodness. And like I'm a
Right.
sucker for like dogs. Like I love animals and stuff. And people that and people that are nice to them and kind to them, like genuinely, not for show, but like in like they actually, and another thing, they were the first country, you look this up too, to get rid of human zoos. You remember human zoos? Like not many people really look into this, but like human zoos, like the things that they would have at the old sort of I don't want to say like vaudeville type era stuff, but
Right.
you used to go around to like zoos and they would have like Native Americans with I know that term is contentious. I don't mean Native Americans, I mean people who are here. I call them Native North Americans, but anyway, like,
Word.
but
Word. Okay.
like just the people that were here in Mexico, Canada, and fucking America. You know what I mean? Like
Right. The
the people of
tribes.
this landmass. Yeah. So they would have them with the feather headdresses and stuff. They would have like straight up like Africans, like Aborigines, whoever, like
Yep.
on display as like an attraction next to the bearded lady and the fucking 500-pound guy or whatever. They would
Yep.
have that back in the day. And then the very first country that was like, yeah, where that's inhumane. We're not doing that. Was the fucking Germans in like the
Yeah.
30s. I'm like, how is it that they're banning that and like the animal thing and being nice to the women and making
Right.
sure people have homes and stuff. And like, and I'm like,
But they're like
and
these
having,
storybook villains.
yeah. And I'm like, that seems to me to really not make a ton of sense. And then when you look into the fact that they were like, yeah, no, like we'll do like the Havara transfer agreement and I mean, granted, I'm sure there were some improprieties. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to, this is the thing I'm really, and a lot of even some of the groypers will hate me for saying this, but like, I try to be like fiercely independent and I'm part of really any group. But like, when people, even though I like, a lot of groypers and stuff, but they, um, I'm not really trying to wave the pom poms for anyone, as I've said before, but I I just think he got a raw. I think that whole movement got a raw deal, kind of like I see now, like movements like you say, like Patriot Front or whatever. It's like, dude, remember when the Appalachian Hills got like fucked via some natural weather, like
Yeah.
last year or whatever? They were out there, like they were
Right.
helping. Were
Yeah.
other people like after the Red Cross and whoever? I'm sure they sort of like there was some help too, but it's like, what are you gonna do? Like dump on people that are like I just didn't I, I didn't
Where
think
was
that
our
there was
greatest
any.
ally?
Yeah. Well, I didn't think that there was our greatest, yeah, but like I didn't really think that there was. And here, and on the note of the greatest ally, there again, it's kind of an interesting disposition because I was even thinking about this like earlier today. I'm like, man, how am I gonna? I guess how am I gonna come off in this interview? What's my lane? I'm not really like yet. I guess I'm not like a Christian. I'm not a groiper. I'm not affiliated with anyone. I'm just doing my own thing. But
Right.
but I can see the merit in a lot of arguments. So I'm like,
Just a
what
noticer.
is? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm like, what is going to be my stance? Here it is. Basically, I guess I am willing to give voice to those who've been just castigated and vilified and messages that have been totally taboo. And I'm not doing it just to try to break taboos. I'm not like, actually, I think Area 51 and Sasquatch and like, I don't really care about like just anything that's potentially inconvenient or an oddity. I'm not just throwing darts against the wall and I'll find anything to talk about that's outrageous. Like no,
Yeah.
it's like this is of consequence. And it's like it's actually not in a vacuum either. And someone might say like, "Oh, what do you care about like whether something 80 years ago was exactly the way it was?" Like well because it's to your point still illegal in many cases to just I feel bad for people. This is probably my biggest regret of my entire 30s was that I didn't put
Okay.
Ursula Ursula Haverbeck, I believe, in my fake world video. You would think I would know her with how much respect I have for her, but
Right.
she the woman, basically the grandma in Germany who died in prison, I think last year or earlier this year.
Yes. Okay. Now. Yeah.
Because she was like, "Hey, I was there at the time, and I think you guys are fucking lying." And she's never backed down from that stance, and it literally took her life. She died in prison as a grandma, like just for the crime of saying, like, "I don't know about all this. I don't think so."
Right.
I'm like, isn't that really sus to a lot of people that they're locking grandmas up and letting them die in prison over their
Right.
stance
Well,
on something?
this gets to the purpose of it. This gets to the purpose and why it's now been newly kind of getting coined as like the post-war consensus. And the reason being, and I love the way that PineSap kind of phrases it, it's used as a humiliation ritual. It's used as, remember the last time we let you guys, do what you believed in and loved and we allowed you to have your own in-group preferences and what's crazy about it too is if you zoom out, there's actually two of those going on at the same time. So you have from the nationalist perspective, and I think that's where it's at, right? I think the post-war consensus is largely to kill nationalism. It's like an idea to be saturated into the free market of ideas so that anytime somebody goes, man, we should be a bit more nationalist, shouldn't we? It's like, ding, you're hit with like the swastika hits you in the face and it's like, oh, we can't do that. Globalist it is. Okay, guys. And then the other element of it is on the racial grounds, which is there's also another humiliation ritual that's a bit more far reaching, but and on all white people, which is again, same thing, your ancestors. It's your ancestors did this. You need to now you know, you need to pay restitution and you now need to live as second class citizens in your own country because we want you to feel bad. And I think then the question that PineSat raises then, which is great, is to what end then? How long are we supposed to sit here and be second class citizens? And I think we've kind of reached the end of the rope there. I think we're now on like the third generations of people who know like they grew up like, dude, I've never owned a slave in my life. Like, I don't even know what the hell the Holocaust is. What are you talking about me? What does it mean my life has to be worse because you feel bad about what your ancestor did hundreds of years ago? And so it's left the room, right? It's like the kids are now dealing with it. And I think that's kind of where we're at now, which is the shifting sands, the Overton windows moving. And I think props to Nick Fuentes for doing it and really glad that he did. I think finally somebody broke through enough that people realized, they looked around and they're like, oh, okay, that guy thinks the same as I do. Okay. And people started doing that and they were like, okay. And then that confidence came. And once the confidence came to talk about, you know, a bit more, and with Rumble and all the alternatives in the parallel economy also existing, especially in terms of YouTube, I think YouTube looked at everything, same with X and other platforms, was like, they have to make a business decision now. Now it's reaching critical mass. And now if we start banning all of these guys, they will leave us and go to Rumble. They will leave us and go look at X. So now they had to loosen the pressure valve a little bit, if you will. And I think that's like the current situation we're in. That's like the current context we're at right now. Would you agree, disagree?
Yeah, no, I think you have a really good measured perspective on that. And I would agree that especially Nick Fuentes gave a lot of people and it's kind of funny cuz like he's younger than me and it's typically
Same.
something that you don't do to sit there and say like I look up to someone like who's my junior, you know what I mean? And I'm
Right.
not saying I'm like a stan or anything, but I funny enough, like I didn't really get into his content until like well after I started going down this rabbit hole and stuff. Like I said, I wasn't really even active on X much until kind of sort of I dropped my like World War II video, you know, or at least I wasn't like dissident or anything on it. So I never really even saw his clips or anything until probably like around last year, mid last year. I
Yeah.
wasn't even that familiar with his work when I attended AFPAC 4. Like I was not even really in the scene or whatever, but it's been interesting over the past like calendar year and a half or so to really see him blow up. But yes, I would
Yeah.
actually agree with a lot of your premise about the guilt trip. I'll actually even take it. Well, I'll say this. I think it's well, real quick, just to touch on the censorship before I get into this point. Yes, I would agree that they're kind of coming. The rubber's sort of hitting the road. Although,
Right.
I mean, again, for those that don't know, if you don't know, now you know. I'll leave it to to Nick to say that one. But like,
Right.
but in terms of drop the hard art. No, I'm fucking around. I don't say
That's
it. You know what I
funny.
mean? I don't say it. But I understand people are gonna think I'm a pussy or whatever. But it is what it is. I'm just trying
Right.
not to. I try to be fairly respectful. You know what I mean? But like,
Right.
um,
Same.
but but I still don't respect. I still don't respect like lies. You know what I mean? Like I don't respect lies. But um, not that, but about like other historical things. But uh, anyway, I'm still for those that don't know, like, yes, we've talked a little bit. I made the World War II video music video. I also made, I don't even know if you knew this one, the Culture War video that I talked about. I called it
Yeah.
Culture War with the quotes around it.
Yeah.
And I've never like and I purposefully put the quotes around it because it's not a culture war. It's not left versus right or whatever dog shit they're trying to get us to argue about. I'm like,
Yeah.
no. This is the erasure of a type of people. Like
Right.
this is the we're going kaput on a global scale type thing. This is much more than just like some sort of, oh, you know, those Democrats or, oh, can you believe what the wokes are up to? Like, no, like,
Right.
no. We have
It's good versus
real,
evil.
yeah, and also existence versus you're getting wiped off the gene pool. Like
Right.
there's there's some real stakes here. It's like 100 years ago, or roughly around the turn of the 20th century, whites were, I don't know, about a third, 30%, something like that of the world. And now we're like less than 10. And I'm like,
I think it's
what
7.
and yeah, and don't have us like I actually did I mentioned this on my pod. Turns out I got it wrong. There's like one city, but in the world, there's like one or two cities, period, where 80% plus of the city, and I'm just using that threshold as to say it's primarily like a what I'm not even like a hardliner on this stuff, but
Right.
maybe as much as the advocates say that I should be or whatever. But like I there's I think there's room for different people in the same place, but not at all to this extent that we've been doing it. This is crazy. Even to the point where, like, when I was born to now, the demographics have gotten insane. And it's not downstream from me hating people. It's not downstream from me wanting to like do harm to people, or that I think I'm better than them or anything. It's like, no, I would like a homeland that is roughly to my tuning as well. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't too much of a demand. And it's also not um impractical or like some pipe dream, some pie in the sky, like, oh, fantasy. It's like
Right.
there's many people alive, to many of our own parents grew up like that. I'm like, dude, they had some semblance of like a cohesive peer group in their childhood. You go to it's like now I go to the mall and I'm like, I couldn't even eavesdrop if I wanted to. You know what I mean? I fucking don't understand what
Right.
half the people are saying. And like there's and then the other half of the fucking mall is just bringing their pit bulls in for the fuck of it. You know what I mean? Like no service dog, no nothing, just like, dude,
Right.
what's going on? Dude, like, and for and the thing is, everyone wants people to say anything other than that it's the, to your point, the erasure of nationalism, but I would
Right.
say primarily in like white nations. Like almost, and now
Exactly.
especially recently in Japan and a little bit in South Korea too. But like, yeah, I'm buying, if I could buy stock in like, the next wave of conflict, I feel like the East Asia thing might get pretty interesting. But
Right.
and I hope they have the sense to say, this is Japan. We have Japan. We, the
Right.
Japanese, it's our shit.
Yeah.
You got yours. You have your own landmass. I'm making this point in an episode of the Dan Bauer Power Hour, which I'm about to drop again soon. Probably I
Awesome.
was gonna edit it, but I'm stuck doing this fucking pod. No, I'm just joking. I like doing this podcast. I'm totally joking. But
It's funny.
but I'm yeah, I made this point on that where it's like, quit acting like you're not just doing what everyone else is. I don't care what your justification is. No, but my holy book says, no, but my history says, no, but the old map said, whatever. It's a land grab for resources. Let's just call a spade a spade. That's what
Right.
everyone's doing. And to act like white people aren't allowed to have some say in like, I'd like to not have I'd like to not be the victim of all these random up for grabs land grab people coming in just fucking
Right.
taking all, like, what? Like,
And it's the
what?
correct
That's,
framing because it's not
yeah,
it's not a culture war. Although there
yeah,
is it's still a battle between like left wing and right wing kind of thinking. That's the framing they want people to hold. It's you're in the game and it's exactly where they want you. And it's not a race war either, because everything that is diversity and globalism is exactly what you said. It's actually, you go down a little bit and you're like, oh, this is just anti-white hatred. Oh, this is just anti-white replacement. Oh, it's all anti-white. So there's an element of a race war component, but it's largely all because it's like basically everybody versus us. That's kind of like the framing of where we're at. And it's with immigration, and it's being helped by the likes of the Trump administration, who waffle nonstop between legal immigration, illegal immigration. We haven't gotten mass deportations yet. Elon Musk almost started a brand new party just because he wanted to make sure he could still import 1 billion Indians into this country. And there's seemingly no end. And we kind of, and I think we really blew it up a little bit ago, because when the one guy who anyone had any ounce of faith in, Donald Trump, has basically walked in and stabbed everybody in the back, I think everyone's done now. I think this is the end of MAGA is happening. I think that JD Vance is going to have to pull off some crazy tricks to maintain what's left of MAGA going into 2028, if Trump even makes it that far. Everyone's playing this up as if Trump clearly didn't have any kind of extreme medical conditions over this last weekend. I think everything tracks with like either a TIA attack, which is a trans ischemic attack, if I'm remembering that right, or stroke, something along those lines. So it's a lot to be fearful of. And I hate doing this to you, but I'm going to give you the floor. I have to use the bathroom. I'm going to give you the floor. I'm going to let you actually chill out your YouTube channel, whatever you want to talk about. It should take me like 2 minutes. I'll come right back. But I'm going to make you bigger. The floor is yours, man. I'll be right back.
no worries. And he's gonna take a shit, so this is gonna do 20 minutes. No, I'm totally joking. Can you imagine? It'd be so funny. Anyway, guys, now I'm gonna use the bathroom too. Fuck it. On camera. No, well, I guess hell, as good a time as any. Hey guys, so For those, I'm looking over here at him, but I guess I'll look at you guys. Yeah, for those that don't know me, Dan Bauer at Dan Bauer Music. That's Bauer. I'm at Dan Bauer Music on pretty much everything except Twitter with a 1 on the end. So at Dan Bauer Music 1. Yeah. Anyway, like I say, I'm a singer songwriter. So I. Not to toot my own horn, but I guess here I am just killing time, and I was told to do this. If you want to check some of my music out, I'm on Spotify. Actually, oddly enough, my first 2 albums are currently off there. I took them off because I want to re-upload them. I'm kind of done with the stupid parental advisory sticker thing. I think it's like an antiquated thing, and it has no place on the real artwork. So I'm actually going to take those off. I probably could have just changed the album covers and kept the music, but whatever. I'm going to re-upload them soon. Anyway, I just, like I said, dropped my 6th album on 420. It's another album on which I play everything. So I play like a lot of instruments. I play guitar, I play acoustic and electric on it. I play piano, drums, bass, all the other synth stuff, the production. Like I write everything. I direct all my own music videos. I edit them, like largely these days, all of them myself. So yeah, it's sort of like a one-man band kind of thing. I don't really have too much success or notoriety or anything, but hey, hopefully that'll change when I finish with the Atlas and Thugged podcast. And like I was saying, I think he benches like 315 for warm-ups. He's like a really good dude. He's saving a cat out of a tree. Oh, you're back. Hey, what's up, man? What's going on?
Yes, I'm back. No, you're good. I'm just trying to there we go. I'm gonna just fix this for
cool.
But no,
Sorry,
glad that you're able to,
shit.
rip some content off there. No, sorry, I've been holding it for the last like 40 minutes, and I was like,
no,
I'm about to piss on my new computer if I don't go right now.
You
so
should have.
I gotta take off. I think
do it again, and this time piss. It'll go viral. I'll be on film. I'll be like the sane man in the room.
We'll have a Vivek moment where you can just hear it in the background somewhere.
Dude, can I tell you a funny story real quick? Holy shit! I was sorry to derail this. This was back when I was a dirty little filthy fucking civnat. No, I'm fucking around. But and I was like, man, this was probably like 2023, and I was like, I like this Vivek guy. I'm like, I like Vivek. He's like young, he's smart, he's like actually talented. You know what it is too that also got me? He's in shape. I respect that. I don't really. I would like, for many reasons, would I ever vote for like say Randy Fine? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But there's, or like Chris Christie, I think suffered from this issue too. No offense. I mean, I wish him well, but like you can't be like physically slovenly and be sort of the leader that people respect. And so I respected Vivek because I'm like, he's literally doing push-ups or pull-ups rather. And I'm like, I think he's got a lot going on. And then on Christmas, he snaps and tells us we all need to be in a gulag. His words, no, he didn't say that. But
you need to be more Indian.
He's like, you guys are all lazy. Like, no, actually, well, and here's the thing. And even if people say like, you're going, you're taking this out of proportion. You've become an extremist. You're reading more into what people are saying than they are. It's like, no, I think I'm accurately reading the subtext. Vivek is in place to try to get us to just give the green light to, as you were to say, infinity Indians. Like, do I hate Indians? No, but there are 1.44 billion of them just in India, let alone Canada. There's another billion, but like no, I'm joking. There's like a couple million, but
it seems like it.
I did the math though. I did the math actually on the podcast episode recently, so I'll say the same thing here. And it's not even hard math. There's like 200 countries ish. There's like 1.4 something billion Indian people. If you took 2 million of them, I mean, look what's happened to Canada. If you took that amount of them and put them in every single country in the world, all 2 million per country, there'd still be 1 billion left in India.
Right.
So like, what exactly is the end game? You know what I mean? And like someone like Vivek is in here to try to be like, no, you want to get replaced by someone on an H-1B visa. I'm like, no, I don't actually. Fuck you. No, I don't.
Well, and
like,
I'm glad that
and also when I give interviews in like a major room and stuff, I wear shoes and socks.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That one was brutal. I can't believe he did that.
It's just not the way we do things. It's just not the way we do things. This isn't that I fucking hate. Why is it that you think that this means that like I hate your culture or that I'm like giving you all this shit? It's like, no, but if you're gonna come here, there's like a way we do things, and everybody, and this is the issue. It's become so balkanized and so fragmented, and atomized, and really like this little group of them, that little group of them, the great American melting pot, like the
Yep.
great American propaganda film, like,
Yep.
and so they try to just make it. Here's my issue, like the argument being, no, but you guys are a melting pot. You're a multi-ethnic state. You're a whatever. It's like, you're telling me, okay, if you want me to accept that, then just also you have to take that further and say that you'd like me to accept that a nation that was like, I'm sorry, who was Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, George what, who were all these people? What were they? Filipino? You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
these people who built the nation, and like specifically even documented it in their fucking founding, for the first Congress or whatever, like
Right.
had a thing where like, oh, it's going to be a place for like free white men of good standing. It's like, and
Yeah.
that was their aim. They wrote the Constitution and all these documents in mind that we would be some semblance of a cohesive unit. You know what I mean? They
Right.
didn't say like, oh, these type of lackadaisical kind of rules, largely freedom oriented stuff is going to work among everyone from everywhere in any quantity. I'm like, dude, no, like
Right.
that. And even on the cultural end of things, I mean, the thing with the barefoot, like I was talking with Vivek, like, you're telling me they're like, oh, well we celebrate all types, but if you want shoes, you can have shoes. If you don't want shoes, you don't have to have shoes. I'm like, then you're just saying whatever culture existed can go fuck itself and just like
Right.
erase itself from the earth as if it didn't exist, and it can adapt to all the newcomers. I'm like,
Right.
no, that's
Well,
ridiculous.
that's why I like
No.
the Jared Taylor framing of it, where he's like, so basically what you're saying is we are about to choke to death on our whiteness
on our own,
and we were too
on our own
homogenous.
homogeneity.
Yeah.
Yeah, on our
Like,
own homogeneity.
that is a phenomenal way to frame it. I'm going to go back up here because I did get a super chat in here from Lord of the Ree. He says, nice to see a fellow musician on our side. And I do appreciate that, Mr. Lord of the Ree. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Beyond that, one direction I wanted to take it, because we'll go start getting into a bit more of the topical news stuff.
Yeah.
But the Indian thing is kind of like a newer development, I feel, like in the last like maybe like 4 or 5 years. And I noticed it anecdotally, like in person, in an urban major area, like just constantly, like more and more of them moving into the apartments. And so they seem to be the bioweapon of choice as of right now. But with all that being said, I do want to turn it to topical news. I would like to get into the Alex Jones, Owen Schroyer stuff. But first, let me ask this. Are you trusting the plan?
I didn't vote. So I was at the poll. I was there, and my conscience was telling me like the whole, and it's funny because I listened to you in Mainstream Dissident talk about this in the pod, how in the last 2 weeks you caved. Well, I
Yeah.
was sitting there, no offense, not to shit on you on your own show, but no, I'm just
You're
fucking around.
fine, dude. I don't
I'm
care.
totally joking. But so yeah, I was very much the opposite. I was like, I'm not fucking voting because I'm like, I was looking at him like the fucking Epstein potential, allegedly not trying to spread any libel or whatever the fuck.
Right.
I'm like, it seems very dubious. And then just here was another issue of mine. You know how sometimes you'll like listen to someone who you think is a pro on something, and then they'll talk about something that is in your wheelhouse, and you're like, oh, you don't know shit. You
Right.
don't know shit, and you're talking
Yeah.
about this just like you talk about the other thing that I also don't know about. So now I don't know if I can trust you about that thing either.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was when everyone was really into being like, Trump's going to get us a national Bitcoin strategic reserve, and I'm like, I don't think he knows shit about Bitcoin. Like, I listen to him talk about
Right.
it, and I'm like, and I know a lot of the the hardcore. It's funny, some of the right wingers are really into Bitcoin. Some of them think it's like the fucking NSA created control grid system, beast system
Right.
of the future. I don't know one way or the other, to be honest. I'm sort of oscillating. But regardless, I think it in its creation is a brilliant idea. And I think it's I think it's the real revolution. But I think at least in terms of finances, it had the potential to be, maybe we'll see how it goes. But
Right.
in terms of Trump, he was talking, everyone was really hyping him up during this election cycle. They're like, oh, well, he's he's going to get us the Bitcoin strategic reserve and everyone's going to be rich and whatever. And then I listened to him at the Bitcoin conference. I'm like, he doesn't understand anything about this at all. And I'm like, and he's just like doing the sloganeering routine. And I'm like, and then actually I saw someone on Twitter one time post a status. They were like, can someone find me like a clip of him getting into detail about any specific policy he's going to enact this if he's elected? And it was just nothing but pure uncut copium. You know what I mean? Like it was like, it was very man behind the curtain-y for me to see. I'm like, yeah, I don't really think I've heard him talk on many topics prior to this election in any specifics other than that the vibe and America's back, baby. Joe Biden was shitting his diapers, and now I'm back in monster trucks and pussy. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, I guess, but I need something more concrete. And then everyone's like, well, it could be worse. It could be, what are you going to do? Have Kamala get in? I'm like, I'd rather a fucking expired turkey sandwich than Kamala, but like, I'm still not going to fucking vote for Trump. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really saying much, you know?
Well, and that kind of gets to the base of where I'm kind of at. And you know, Michael Spengler challenged me on this, but I felt like I had a pretty good response to it. He was like, because I'm in the mindset of accelerationism now. Like I'm voting for Gavin Newsom. Like I don't care how many people it pisses off, I will vote for Gavin Newsom. If the opposing ticket is JD Vance and some other Israel show, it is Gavin Newsom all the way, and I'm not looking back. But that's kind of the argument, right? It's accelerationism versus incrementalism. And the idea, though, is constantly keeping people in this box of giving them two awful options. And it didn't even matter now at this point, you know, and I think I was able to buy into it a little bit, you know, right off the rip. I was like, fine, it's Donald Trump. I remember the 2016 energy, you know, and obviously like the $100 million smearing Adelson. I had this feeling in the same way I kind of feel about Alex Jones now, is like, there's too many things here that are giving me concern, but it wasn't enough then to be full blown for me, at least, to go, okay, like, you know, we need to go to Kamala accelerationist now. But very quickly, I mean, on literally every single policy, everything that comes out of his mouth now, it is trusting the plan. It is nothing's matching up. None of the actions are matching up with what people voted him in for. We're not getting mass deportations. Alligator Alcatraz is being shut down. It's over and over. We bombed Iran. Yeah, the No New Wars president bombed somebody. You know, the Ukraine war has not been
Russia, Ukraine. Yeah, I was going to say Russia, Ukraine was 24 hours, I thought.
Right, exactly. And in that same frame, what you have now is, so from Scott Bessent put out a statement not too long ago that everything's back on the table for Putin because, and I think, and this news came amidst Donald Trump being gone or missing for a couple of days. I think that was a statement essentially from, you know, Putin saying like, oh, Trump's on his way out. Like his health is gone. We're back in business, baby. We don't have to worry about America. And then you see some of these other truth socials. And so, you know, you not to spare all the details, but everywhere you look, it's trust the plan. You have to trust the plan. It's not making sense. And then the Epstein debacle. And I think that was and will be probably the worst optics ever Trump will ever have, period. And he quadrupled down on it actually earlier today. We'll get into that. But when he said, are we still talking about Epstein? I think that was the moment that everybody realized that Trump has departed from MAGA. Like Trump is now, he is some asset for somebody, whoever, people can argue about it, but it's clear he is not the 2016 Donald Trump. And this has led to what we have now, which is Alex Jones and Owen Schroyer have parted ways. So I'll go ahead and rip the story for people who don't know what's going on. But largely, Alex Jones and Owen Schroyer got into it. It's very public. They're airing it out very publicly. Alex Jones is crashing out like an animal. I mean, he's going crazy. And largely because Owen Schroyer had felt, and he had said twice, basically that he felt he was being pressured by Alex Jones to tone down his anti-Trumpism and how harsh he was being against the current administration and that he was being too pessimistic. So I have a couple videos that we can pull up here, and I will also share it in the Discord here too. But I think the big one that I wanted to make sure I shared the most is the crash shot from Alex Jones, because it's a bit more telling. We don't really need to play the Owen Schroyer talking about why he did it. But this was extremely telling to me. Hopefully I have the right one here pulled up. Yes, this one.
Can real quick, sorry, I hate to derail it. But
You're
right
fine.
before we start this, can I just make a quick comment
Yeah, go
off
ahead,
the heels of what you were saying about Trump?
Yeah.
So here's the thing, yeah, about Trump being like, you're saying like MAGA is dead or whatever, or just kind of riding the momentum at this point. What I think at this point, Trump represents America the costume, America the caricature, America the, we red, white, and blue, bald eagle, fuck the libs, fuck the Dems. Like we have, we can call people retards again and stuff like that. I think it's supposed to be that kind of like, we're supposed to forgive Bud Light for Dylan Mulvaney type energy. You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of like, oh, it's like, we're kind of fucking around on a lot of avenues, but hey, America's back. And I'm like, also the type of America that Trump, when he say make America great again, this is my issue, is that America, like, it's like an economic zone. It hardly, and I hate to say this, like, it really hardly means anything anymore to say I'm an American. It really hardly, and I love America. I love this country, but I'm very extremely concerned with the direction it's taking. And my issue with Trump is that he doesn't explicitly go there, I think, in any meaningful way to say like, and I will say I do appreciate that he's trying to clean up the cities and he talks about immigration, but it's like, it's almost 2026. We don't have a wall. The guy's been in forever. I understand he had a lot of bullshit he had to deal with in terms of legislation and stuff, but anyway, it's just he isn't the guy to sit here and say make America great again. And this specifically, let me lay out for you what we're talking about, what America is. It's like, you can't say that and bring in the 600,000 Chinese people, like student visas, literally let people buy citizenship, the platinum plan, whatever. I'm like, you're literally selling citizenship. This is absurd. But anyway, sorry. To your
and
point.
that one bothered me too, because I mean, he comes out with this announcement. They talk about the 600,000 Chinese as if he's like not had previous statements about stapling green cards to diplomas. And then when he walks it back the day after, when people clearly were pushing against the idea, everyone goes, see, look, these people weren't trusting the plan. It's like, dude, it's because he was reacting to our pushback. And so you have these people who are, it's 90 chess, and anyone who goes against Trump is just a Democrat. And now the newest angle with the Epstein stuff, is anyone still pushing it, is a Democrat. I mean, like, they tried it initially. Yeah, they tried that messaging initially. People clearly were like, dude, shut the F up. And it kind of went away, but it's back in the news and they're using it again. I think they're just their backs against the wall. They don't have anywhere to go with this and people will not let it go. But to go back to the video though here, this is causing this tension between the Infowars host is this issue, which is that most people with eyes to see and an IQ above, 7 can tell there's clearly something going on. There is a concerted effort to ensure that we do not understand who Epstein was working for, and justice is not going to prevail. But this video is Alex Jones crashing out. I mean, I've not seen Alex like this towards a person close to him, I think, ever in my entire life. So we'll go ahead and let it rip. Make sure I put it back on screen here. Lord, forgive me. Gonna make sure that works still. It's functional. But okay, let's go ahead and play it.
So
I don't know. It's not really playing for me, by the way.
Okay, forgive me.
Let me
having
click
an
the
issue.
I need to click the thing that says watch stream, actually. All right, perfect. Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay.
Cool.
It should be there in Discord with you. I'm going to pull it back.
Yeah, I see it. I see it now. Yeah. Cool.
Okay. Let's go ahead. Take a listen.
So, I mean, he took Snake to the next level. So, Owen Schroyer's dead to me. If he goes on air and repents to Jesus and apologizes for being demon-possessed or whatever it is he is, then I will forgive him. But he thinks that he would like absorb us as a launch pad and lie about us to make himself a victim so he could project himself and launch his own show when he cut and run and didn't even call me or didn't even say anything or didn't even say, hey, what can I do? He just cut and run and said, I'm done with you people. When Bloomberg and The Onion came in here and ransacked this place, and we stood up to him and won thanks to your backing and God's providence, and the whole time, he was trying to cut and run. But then when he figured out that, oh, it's still there, he slunk back over, and I never even came to him and said, hey, it's good to have you back, man. Glad, blah, blah. Just, yeah, okay, sure. Just like that. People say, why would you keep somebody around like that? Because I wasn't going to give him what he wanted. I knew what he was going to do, but I wanted to make sure. It's one thing to know what somebody's going to do, but it's another to wait till they do it.
So that's basically the gist of it here. And I'll actually keep it because I'll pull up some other things here in a second.
Oh, okay.
But what you end up having is Owen was kind of done. You could see it, you could read it, you could feel it. Owen was participating in a lot of spaces. It was clear his messaging was like departing from Alex Jones. This has been happening for like the last few months because I pay attention to a lot of this, probably more so than I should.
No, I agree. But anyway.
And it's unfortunate because I think this is the fact that Alex Jones, because of what has happened to him from his statements against Sandy Hook and having basically the world wanting to crush and liquidate his company and disappear him from, the planet, that he's kind of left with no choice. He has to maintain and keep appeasing the base that he has, which is largely MAGA, which is largely a lot of people who are ride or die with Trump no matter what. And it's just sad. And so, and as I was looking at that, the more deeper I get into it, from Red Pill Media, I see that Ryan Dawson had put together a video from some time ago that showed that Alex Jones actually has been flip-flopping on Israel for years, for a long time. And, I won't play the video because it's long, but the gist is it's just a bunch of these clips from like 8 seconds, 10 seconds from current times to 10 years ago, sometimes 20 years ago. But if you go back and it's like from like 2001, he like ardently is like a huge supporter of Israel. He's like, I support a Jewish state of Israel. Like he says the lines, he says all the Zionist lines. And then it cuts to a current one. And he's like, I've always been on the fence about Israel. I love to hear the arguments back and forth. And then it cuts back to another segment. And it's like, he's like, well, I do support Israel. And so it's all of these like flip-flopping on these positions. But that seems to me like the only position I've ever felt Alex has been flip-floppy on. And so even that, I'm kind of like, that's by itself the one thing that I've never felt Alex had a strong opinion on. So I'm kind of curious what you think about this kind of fallout between the two.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I thought you were going to send me a different clip when, aside from that one, like the one where you like I don't know if you've seen it, you probably have seen it. The one where he like literally like flips out. I think, who is it? It's not Chase Geiger. It's one of the other hosts.
Harrison Smith. Yeah, he interrupts Harrison. Yeah.
And I like Harrison Smith. And the thing is, who actually this sort of reminds? I mean, obviously that one, as far as I know, I wasn't really in these dissident circles back then. Who else has done really well too? Paul Joseph Watson. He used to be an Infowars guy, but now he just does his own thing with like Modernity TV and all that. And I think he does a really good job too. Now, Alex appears to me, he gives the body language of someone who is sort of like someone whose wife has had enough and walks out on him. And he's like, after all I've done, and after all, blah, you know what I mean? Trying to like find a way, like at the end of whatever he's saying is, you need to be in my sphere again. And it's like, I think he's very upset that, to your point, that narrative is being, it's funny because like Alex Jones, I feel like Alex Jones, now I will say, now I don't know, is he Bill Cooper? I have no, you know what I mean? But I think Alex Jones is I think Alex Jones, at least, as I'll just take that to be true, like that he is who he is or whatever, but he is a legend in the space, you know what I mean, because of all of his work and whatever over the decades, and he was ahead of a lot of this stuff compared to most. And I think now he's coming up against a very interesting issue. I thought they were going to always sort of ban him and ban Trump from like Twitter and all these things because it was like, we can't platform those type of voices. Like, these are the real crazy. It's kind of like how Avi Yemeni is like Rebel News as a fucking joke. Like they want these people to be the acceptable bounds end of the villain scale. You know what I mean? Of like the nefarious narrative worldview disposition kind of scale. Yet the reality is that now, and this is something I think Alex is really struggling with, is now people like you and me, we're out here doing podcasts as well. Like I can go get, I can spend probably $300 and have not as good Now you would say, oh, it's not as good of a show. It's like, yeah, it's a little bit lo-fi. It is what it is. But like, it's still, but it is still something that people, I mean, look at Nick Fuentes. He's enormous. Like they play clips of his on CNN sometimes now. And I'm like, he's literally just a guy with a webcam in a fucking basement or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
like,
Well,
so
it's like, do you want to hear high quality audio, Bitcoin ads, and supplement ads with Israel glazing, or do you want to hear
Buy my
truth
dick pills.
with the mid-set like microphone? It's like I'll take the mid-set microphone any day of the week. Not even a question.
And that's the thing. And so like Alex Jones, I think had been a he now again, I respect him in different ways, but he now is kind of coming up against it where I think he realizes like, what is Infowars? It's like you are sort of, it's not like there's cable TV anymore. No one really gives a fuck. It's not like it's like the main 4 channels or anything. It's not like everyone is sequestered. It's like, oh my god, you know what happened on Infowars? It's like people see fucking crazy, outlandish content in their feed. All if you brick like the little octopus fucking meme, like I built this algorithm brick by brick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't really need Alex Jones to spiral into schizoism. No, I'm fucking around into investigating like truths and stuff like that.
Do we have
You can
X now?
Exactly, yeah, and like, well, you don't have your X anymore technically, by definition, but on a semantics note, but yes, you would exactly things like that. It's there's a what's the word proliferation of information. Like anyone, like it literally, what is the channel? Infowars. It's an information warfare type thing. We're all participating in the information war. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
We all have podcasts and cell phones. Even people like someone like an Ian Carroll. I say like Ian Carroll style videos. Like Ian Carroll was sort of the first one to blow up with it, I guess, who he just put himself in a stupid green screen behind clips, like, and would react to them. Even stuff like that gets huge traction. It's like there is a thirst for information, but Alex Jones has long been the gatekeeper of this space, and he didn't even need to be a gatekeeper. He could kind of platform people and give voice, to his credit, to people who wanted to get an alternative message out. But now that I think he has become sort of a part of the machine, if you will, he's a network, like it's a dissident network, but he's not just some unfunded random individual who's doing it for the love of the game. It's like, to your point, he's got some pills to sell and stuff. So you are sort of confined by, so you have to put some bumpers on, and I think more people just want the straight pure shit. They don't want any of that, and I think he pigeonholed himself by aligning with Trump too much, to the point where, yes, I think a lot of people have graduated from MAGA and from Trumpism, and like someone like myself or someone like you kind of sees that this isn't going to lead the charge. He's like 80 something years old, or like maybe 80. And even if he was like based in the man and whatever, this isn't going to last forever. We need something to carry us through. It's not going to be JD Vance. It's going to be some like true shit. And someone like an Alex Jones who'll sit here and just get, I mean, first of all, the way he handled that was like incredibly hyper emotional, and it's not a good look. It's not good optics, but it doesn't really convey a sense of that you've got it all buttoned up and together and stuff, like,
so
it's, yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. I just want to step in so I don't lose my thought.
No, you're
the
good.
thought
You're
with
good.
that is, have you seen the latest season of Squid Games?
I've seen Squidward. No, I've never actually seen Squid Games. I don't really watch shit anymore ever since I realized the world's fake.
Well,
Yeah.
For people who have seen Squid Games, hopefully this will make sense, but this is kind of how I see it. So in Squid Games, you end up finding out, and spoiler alert, it's been out, I don't care. In the latest season of where it's at, Squid Games, you end up finding out that the main guy behind the mask, who's kind of putting all these people through these ridiculous games, these kill games, for money, it's kind of like this story about capitalism. The main character realizes that the guy who is the ringleader for this whole thing was actually a original participant himself. And so there's a scene where it kind of mirrors the same choice that the original guy was given, which was basically they give this guy a knife and they give him an out. They're like, instead of playing the game tomorrow, I'll give you a knife. And if you're willing to kill all these people in their sleep, you win the game. So the ringleader guy, when he's given the knife, he does it. Now, fast forward 10, 15 years, and now we're with the main character. He's given the knife in the same scenario and told, you can win this game tomorrow easily. Just take the knife, kill everybody in their sleep, you win. And I think similarly, Alex Jones took this extremely personal because this is Owen Schroyer. This is his right-hand man. This is someone who's basically, he's given a lot to, right? Even in this rant, he talks about how he gave Owen a car. He's given Owen like all these different things. Like they were probably close at one point. I think he looks at Owen as himself or a younger version of himself. And he sees Owen taking the opposite choice that Alex did. And I think it bothers him deeply. Owen's willing to take all this credibility attack because he's like, I don't care. You know, and I think he sees what Alex Jones used to be in that. And I think that that hurts him to a deep level because I found this crash out to be less about like, you know, politics. I found it to be more personal. Like it seemed it was more personal. Like he was just more angry that he lost someone like Owen. And I think that would hurt somebody deeply. And so he's kind of he has to villainize Owen in some way, or otherwise people will begin to question, why did such a great talent walk away from you? What were you doing then? And it forces this introspection to look at him. And at least that's kind of like how I view it. And I think it was a bit more personal and less about, you know, maybe the politics aspect there.
Yeah, no, for sure. That definitely could definitely could be it. Because I remember, it's funny because I remember actually Alex Jones on Joe Rogan forever ago. This is like probably 5-ish years ago, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm going there. I'm listening to the Alex Jones episodes of the Joe Rogan podcast now. Like, you know, but yeah, and I remember at the time he was like, Joe, I can't do this anymore. I've only got a few more years left of this stuff. And he's like, it's killing me. And that was before he like lost weight or whatever too. But he is obviously very intense and very stressed. And he's like probably close to 60 or something. And it's like,
right.
It's fair to say that at some point there will have to be a successor. And I always thought that Owen Schroyer would be that guy. And I'm sure Alex probably did too. Right. But then again, the landscape, like I said, the landscape has changed. I don't know when Owen joined, probably, I would say probably at least 5, maybe 10 years ago, something like that, maybe even more. But like,
yeah, like 2018.
He'd been around. Okay. So had been around a while. And in 2018, again, this was pre-COVID times. It wasn't everyone and their sister at a fucking podcast. You know what I mean? So like, I think he thought of like this as his avenue to be like, holy shit, I could be the Infowars guy. And now it's like, holy shit, I could just have 1 million followers just by being me. You know what I mean? And I don't think the platform is as necessary of a medium as it once was. And I think that Owen has built himself up an audience over the past, 7 years or something. Yes, largely because of like that platform. But kind of like a PJW thing. Like I think he could succeed on his own, and I think he knows it. And I think I agree with your sentiment that it probably just more personally devastated Alex because now he's probably like, shit, I was low key. I don't know if he's going to bow out anytime soon, but like I'm coming towards the thing here, and now I have to have a whole new fucking secession strategy. And didn't someone else just leave too? Some other Infowars guy?
I felt like I had seen somebody say that, but it was someone who I wasn't that familiar with. The thing that really caught my attention was I also follow a bunch of like Infowar affiliates. So like Greg Reese with the Reese Report.
I like Greg Reese. He's good.
Greg Reese commented and quoted and said Owen made the right choice. And there was also Health Ranger, I believe, also had said similar, like they were with Owen. And so to see like other guys who I highly trust, like the Reese Report, I love Reese Report, come out and definitely take Owen's side, makes me think there's a lot more truth behind Owen than there is with Alex. And that just makes me sad because, I mean, if he loses his credibility, it's over. I mean, he might as well just pack it up and liquidate the thing down because it's over for him.
And one thing I wanted to say too, one of the it's kind of circles back towards the beginning of our conversation, where when Alex Jones had that viral clip. Of course, if you're someone who sits around and says, looks like everything's fake and gay. Like when you start realizing that everything's ridiculous, you're like, well, who should I listen to? And then like the Alex Joneses or whoever come on the radar. I think that's their goal, is for him to be the stopping point. But like back in the day, Alex Jones, I remember him on Piers Morgan being like, Stalin took the guns, Hitler took the guns, like blah, 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 and start freaking out. And then now I look into it, I'm like, I don't think Hitler took the guns. And I'm like, dude, like, I don't know. Like, so yeah, you want someone to get all jazzed up and fucking sort of be the voice of you, the disgruntled, left behind man or whatever. But I don't think it has to be someone who's ranting and raving. I think he does a lot of theatrics against the system and the man and the globalist and the fucking reptile lizard people or whoever. I'm fucking around. I didn't know he's not always that crazy about it. But like, but when people, when you have someone like an Alex Jones who will start screaming and really doing all these like theatrics, and then you have it sort of hurts your own credibility if you're trying to be like, well, who are you getting your info from? And you're like, Alex Jones, and they're like, Alex Jones, like, yeah, it's like fucking, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
I strive to be a little more level-headed, and I will say, I noticed it really always bothered me, especially on the, and I think he won't say it because he respects Alex, and he's a little more. I'm not saying Nick Fuentes is super optics like oriented, but I mean the way that he described like the Thomas Sowell thing, like Sewell, not Sowell.
Right.
The Thomas. It would be so funny if Thomas Sowell was the one doing Australian fucking like white rights. Thomas Sowell, the economist, but no, Thomas Sewell. But yeah,
which he got arrested recently.
Yeah, well, that's I was referring to that. How Nick was talking about that incident, how like that's never going to catch on because you know, you're looking like you're dressed in all black and you're crashing events and you're yelling and you're swearing and you're being like openly racist, and it's not going to like work even if you have the same goals as different people. But like, I think the same thing with Alex. Like, it's Nick. I don't think Nick would say it, but you could kind of tell that he looked like he was getting a little perturbed by all the interruptions that Alex would do when he was trying to go off about certain points. Same thing with Kanye. Like he would, and granted, Kanye would go on these long-winded rants, and you got to cut him off at some point. But like, Alex, I think often would interrupt people and derail them and keep talking to the point where if you had something to say and you were just on the verge of doing it, he'll sort of filibuster with like several minutes of. I don't think things that are facilitating the conversation. I think they're just kind of muddying the waters a little bit.
Yeah.
And that always sort of annoyed me that the counterparts in his conversations wouldn't get a chance to really air out what they'd like to say, even though I've been a blabbermouth this whole time, but you know what I mean?
No, you're fine. And there's so many points there too. Like, and one of the things that I wanted to bring up earlier too, as well, which was like, there's an aspect where Alex is like getting into character, and he's like, oh, I think Owen's getting off on this. He has to be getting off on this the way he was talking to me. Like he's going into like these extreme, like just insane kind of level of detail. But even with that though, like he talks about the interruptions as if it's the ad breaks, and it's like, no, like we're talking about the literal clip that went viral where you walked on set when Owen and Nick were having an interview and literally said verbatim, "Oh, Tel Aviv called. I have to stop this conversation." Like that's not an ad break. That's you disrupting the flow of the conversation. Same thing happened with the Dinesh D'Souza debate that he moderated, that I covered stream front to back. He would constantly like go on these tangents that would like, it wouldn't necessarily be a direct deflection of what was being discussed, but it was just throwing so much bubbly word mumbo jumbo out there that it would just inflate the room. They would end up talking about something else. And he did it multiple times. And so he does do this, you know, in all these conversations. There's also the bad moment where Nick begins to bring up, you know, a bit more about JD Vance and his background. And he's like, oh, we got to cut to break. And then they don't resume it afterwards. But then he says in this recent statement, in this monologue he goes on, he talks about how like we always come back and talk about what we're talking about, you know.
Yes, I remember hearing that. And I'm like, I don't think that's true at all.
But that's not true at all. Like I know it's not true. I cover his stuff all the time. But there is one super chat. I'm going to read it off real quick. This is from Titan. Titan. He says, Alex is the puppeteer behind the many angry Gen Xers out there. And that's one thing that I think I'm with Nick, which is I still respect the fact that even if this current iteration is like, you know, the full end game of Alex, which is like this captured asset, still appreciate the work that he's done that opened the door for a lot of people who otherwise wouldn't have had anybody else to look to, or maybe wouldn't have looked in the first place. And so that's why I kind of struggle with that a little bit, which is like, you kind of do probably have an element, like maybe in 10 years from now, like I'll have some huge disagreement with like someone at OTO and we'll be like, you know, big dogs at that point. But there's still a level of like, you have to respect the fact that they did good work at some point and that was meaningful to some people, even if it is like they are entirely controlled now. Same thing with Donald Trump, right? Like 2016 version by the early iteration was okay, got some things done, gave us hope to go into 2020, you know, this last election. But now that he's a controlled asset, doesn't mean that you automatically have to go, everything about him was bad. There was nothing good that ever came from him. It's like, because then you lose the neutrality. It's like, well, objectively, that's not true. We at least got this and this and this. It does suck that they're airing it out publicly like this. I think it's going to make Alex look bad. I think that's the only way he comes out of this. I think Owen could probably say nothing for another week and he'll be fine. And Alex will continue to blow up on camera. And now I feel bad for Harrison Smith because I think this puts him in the crosshairs. And I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want to be in the crosshairs now, because now you are like going to ultimately be the next up, because what's his name? The other guy.
Chase Geiger? No.
Harrison. Chase Geiger. Chase Geiger didn't tell anybody, but he let it be known because this is going on. So he announced it. He's no longer in Texas. He actually moved over to Arkansas to take over with the marketing department. Yeah. So now they're down even another host. So now it's just like Harrison.
That's what I was saying. Because I think I saw that he said he was moving to Arkansas. I'm like, I wonder if he's going to Eric Orwell's thing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, the return to the land. Yeah, no, he said it was
because that's in Arkansas.
He said it was something along the lines of like Infowars has like a marketing, clothing, and supplement hub in Arkansas. So he's going to go out and help with that. That he's still going to do a solo show, but like he's not going to be Infowars like on air.
Well, here's the thing. This is what I'm saying. Like it's the democratization of creation. Like you can be able to, anyone can be able to create. It's like, what is info? Like it's what we're already doing with the Infowars logo in the corner. You know what I mean? It's not like you're saying like I'm sourcing my, like, dude, I can get some intel. You can get some intel. We have the internet. You know what I mean? Like, and there is something to be said about like insiders and having different political connections and behind the scene guys. But at this point, I think no one's really interested in the unverified or non-public, non-open source sort of claims that are out there anyway. Like if I were to tune into Infowars because it was like, well, Alex Jones has all the info and he's got it, you know what I mean? And he's got his sources. It's like, what's his source? His Twitter feed? I'm like, dude, I have a Twitter feed. You know what I mean? We probably have a similar algorithm. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't necessarily need that. And I think that's what like the Chase Geigers and the whoever is like, oh, I'll still do my show and I'll still be part of the Infowars universe. It's like, I guess, but at some point I think that, it's kind of similar how to like, you don't need a giant big newsroom. You don't need all those guys pecking away at the computer in the background like it's a fucking like, local news station. You don't like they went from that to we can actually do it smaller and still be good with Infowars. And now with Infowars, it's like actually we can minimalize that, and that's literally a guy in a webcam, and that can be successful as well. And it's not like things aren't in 4K everywhere, no matter what these days anyway. So like,
you get a 4K webcam from Walmart nowadays. Like, it's super easy to like just step into it. And that's part of like what we're doing, like with the, coalition between like me and Zeb and, mainstream. And we're trying to build that network ourselves because, and that is part of it, the parallel aspect of it, where you look at like, why would I ever expect Tim Pool to agree with my end goal vision? Right? Like he's not a Christian nationalist. So like, why would I want to be partnered with him? In fact, at some point, the closer we get to where I want to be, the more he becomes an enemy. Like the closer you get, like these ropes might be super close now, but when you get to the end of a rope, when you get to the end of the cables are really tightly knit when they're all, in the middle. But when you get to the ends, they're very far separate and they're meant for different things. So it's like, just because, circumstance and proxy were allies now, doesn't mean like it's going to be politically expedient to be allies in the future. So there's all these elements that, go in hand with it, which is why it's important to have your people, your guys, be the face of what you're doing. And the other thing that I wanted to add too, I like, and I'm going to be a bit personal because ultimately it doesn't matter. And I think the other guy's channel is going to die anyways.
Yeah.
When I was back with Jar Opener's podcast, this was the situation that I was in. I was ultimately being given an opportunity to be on a channel that was much bigger than mine, right? So at the time I had like 100, 300, 500, 700 subscribers, eventually climbed to 1,000. And that was the same level of pressure. It was, we'll talk all this talk about how Democrats are bad, but, don't be pessimistic about Trump. Don't talk about Jews. Don't talk about Israel. And eventually at a certain point, it's just like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Like to me, it feels like all we're talking about is non-existent BS, like the stuff they want you to be distracted by, things that don't really actually matter. And I just couldn't do it. Like I was dying trying to make these outlines and go through the show, but it's like, none of this matters. It's all BS anyways. So I feel Owen, like I couldn't take it. And like, you know, truth be told, like that's kind of the way it ended for me. Like there was no good ending to that. It was me trying to word it and I'm going beyond the pale, man, and being like, here's all the reasons why I don't want to be a part of the show anymore. And I think it's not working because this and this and this. And I don't think we're going to see eye to eye here. We need to do this. And then all I get back is you're a villain. You're a piece of shit. You were plotting on my downfall. And it's like, all right, dude, like you just kind of at a certain point, you're like, okay, we're just never going to work out. But with that though, I want to move over to one of the last bits before we, cause we're running out of time here. And it is the Epstein stuff. So
and
I pulled
oregano.
it up. What's that?
Nothing. You said we're running out of time, and I said and oregano, but anywho.
And oregano. That's funny. Pizza does sound good. I would love piece pizza right now. This is kind of, I think, the new angle for the Epstein stuff, which is that it's all gone. I think that's the new angle they're rolling with. So Tim Pool put this out. We had inklings of this as the Epstein stuff was first opening up and becoming the debacle it is now, that there was this idea because there's no strong chain of custody. You know, do you really trust the Democrats who held on to it for 4 years and didn't release it, didn't, you know, put stuff into it or add stuff into it? I do think that there is some level of where you could go, okay, that's plausible to some degree. But ultimately, we have all of this evidence outside of just what's in the Epstein files. You have like all these other court cases that occurred. You have things that happened in Florida previously. So again, everybody knows it's just a bunch of BS. They're protecting their own. They're protecting pedophiles. But this was what Tim Pool had to say. So go ahead and make sure I can pull it up on screen here. Slide this over so I don't
move
lose
over to
you.
that window as well so I can see it. Cool.
Make sure the volume is up. But this is the quote from the video. Tim Pool says, "The truth is it's all gone. It's been destroyed a long time ago." Ladies and gentlemen.
Wait, real quick. Tim Pool, dinner guest of Benjamin Netanyahu or whatever it was. Like, what was that thing that they had where they had the something style press core meetup?
Chatham House rules.
Chatham House
private
rules, yes,
meeting. Yeah, I mean the dude fought
Anyway.
tooth and nail to make sure that he had some ridiculous excuse. Like he met with Netanyahu in private, and the reason why he met Netanyahu with private is because everything what we know, objective metrics, is if you look at totally not a secret meeting text. It's funny. If you look at the metrics, if you look at both left-wing Gen Z, right-wing Gen Z, support for Israel is at a critical position right now. It is typically and historically been at 50% or higher throughout the years. Gen Z threatens to bring that all the way down to like 18%. 18% puts Israel in a position in which the United States would probably begin decoupling from them because it would no longer have the support of the people. So Tim Pool argued that he's this guy who cares about in America so much that he went and attended a private meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu so he could be concerned with how to push pro-Israel sentiment onto the youth. I kid you not, that was his argument. I cannot stand this guy. He's a clear Zionist. His co-host Phil Labonte is an even more retarded Zionist show.
From isn't he from the band
All That Remains?
Okay, you know what's kind of funny, low key, because I'm like from New Hampshire.
Yeah,
I actually have a lot of like mutual connection music people crossover that like I don't really get involved with that band. I'm sure they hate that I'm out here like doing this type of content, which is crazy. It's like, what am I, some fucking when have I literally ever said like some crazy shit?
Right. Well, so
anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, so get this. Let me actually we'll play this in a second. But so there's another viral moment that came from the Tim cast IRL when Tim wasn't there. And this was actually between Alex Stein and Phil Labonte and someone like other like IDF chick who's like this weird, like, you know, Israeli pro-Israel person. But ultimately, like the way that it went down was they clipped it really poorly. All you see is Alex Stein losing his mind, which is out of character because normally he's the pimp on the blimp. He's making fun of it. He's trolling people. He's typically not the one that's angry.
On the grind all the time. Alex
right,
Stein.
all the little clips that come with it. So he got into it. And so Alex Stein, I don't trust him, but I do think he is, in like what House said earlier, the containment right. He's one of the gatekeepers who you can let some steam off, but you ultimately can't get over a target. Even he got into a rage match with this IDF chick on Timcast IRL because that's how far pro-Zionist that show has went. And no joke, after I grabbed this clip, you know who Tim Pool was talking to earlier today? Tommy Robinson, another extreme Zionist.
Oh, you mean Stephen Yando or whatever?
Yeah, I forget what his real name is.
Whatever
I
the
always
fuck his
forget it.
name is. Yeah, something like that. But anyway.
Yeah, like so. Overall, though, this is so bringing it to now the current day today. Tim Pool is now piggybacking off of Mike Cernovich, who again sucked a trans penis. At
yes,
some point in his
dude.
life.
When people, oh my god, I really respect Fleckus Talks the podcast. I love Fleckus, but they're always quoting Cernovich. I'm like, have you read the article that he wrote about the fucking? I'm like, what? But anyway, as you were.
No, so this got me into good graces with Sovereign Bra because I went back and forth with a lot of archive stuff I had saved because multiple times Cernovich has tried to update the article. I think even like 3 or 4 years ago, he tried updating it again, like a stealth editing the article. It's insane how much that's destroyed his career. But
anyway.
This is Tim Pool basically saying it's over for the Epstein files. It's all been destroyed and there's no reason to keep looking. And that is a Democrat hoax. But here's this. I don't know if we'll watch the whole 2 minutes, but just so people can hear from the horse's mouth, here's Tim Pool.
It is an emergency. Therefore, Trump has the authority to deploy the National Guard. What's your solution if you're going to tell people there is crime and you will do nothing about it? That's why the only play Democrats have is to say there's no crime, Trump's lying, which we all know is true. And so they're going to lose on that one. That's why the Epstein thing is a big, juicy ham for the Democrats, something to sink their teeth into because even Trump supporters want the information released. But where is it? They say many of the files appeared in public court filings, including, for example, a 2021 motion from Epstein's co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell to dismiss the superseding indictments against her in federal court. Among materials unveiled Tuesday evening, however, are some video clips, including one that appears to feature a young woman recounting her experience as one of Epstein's masseuses. Her image and the image of the interviewer are blurred. These files were originally handed over to lawmakers last month, but Republicans and Democrats on the House Oversight Committee took more than a week to privately review them. The committee's GOP majority said it was coordinating with the Justice Department to...
So I'm not going to listen to him rant the rest of the time, but that's basically the new position that he's taken on. He is taking on the position of we got to, containment right, I think is a great way to call it. But that basically is what it is. Let me make sure and get this off the screen. So we go back to us. There we go.
Fuck out of here.
Anyway. Yeah, right. So this is kind of the other issue. On the other side of it is not only are you fighting a clear and in front direct enemy in front of you, we also have an enemy right to my right hand side trying to hold my hand, saying, "Hey, I'm your ally. Come with me." And they're not. And actually, I'm kind of coming to the position that I think these guys are worse. The people who are cozying up to the right, who are basically pseudo right wingers, ultimately don't believe in anything right wing. It's just like, for one, politically expedient, and two, they're grifters largely. They want to make money. They'll go where the political winds will blow. And that's the current makeup. And so at the drop of a hat, you'll have Cat Turd, you'll have Tim Pool, you'll have Alex Stein sometimes, you'll have, you can just keep going. Like the Daily Wire, for the most part, largely all of them are in the Trump camp. Yeah, pro-Israel, pro-Trump, and they will not even begin to attempt to criticize any of that. And that's kind of the iteration we're at right now. And now we have Epstein victims coming out. That was the big thing of the story, which was at this conference between Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna, the joint one, was that one of the victims said that they're taking it upon themselves. They are going to make an Epstein list among the victims. They said the government will never give it to us. We're going to compile a list amongst ourselves. And then you get all these people coming out and saying, why won't they just say it? Just say the names now. Just do it. As if they wouldn't get threatened with lawsuits up and down from, again, a lot of people who are Jewish. So they're going to ultimately win those lawsuits. And secondly, what you end up going to getting is the same thing what happened with Virginia Giuffre. So if we're to believe these people to be true, and we have all these other victims, and when they spoke up, they were missing personed, why would they just come out in public and say these names? Like, it already is coming. Most of the attacks from the right are coming from a place that they already don't believe them. But the reality is if you take any truth of salt, take any, grain of salt of truth with this, well then, yeah, if they say names and they put themselves out there, they're going to be hit in a car. Their Tesla will go 180 miles an hour into a wall. They will all of a sudden, their treadmill will go to, 25 miles an hour and they can't get off. Like, these things will happen. They'll get missing personed. And
yeah, these people are about to get booked on fucking flight 370. You know what I mean? All these people.
Right. Exactly. And so that's what bothers me the most is when you have all these guys come out and they're like, well, why aren't these victims like just naming names now? And it's like, I don't know, because they fear for their life, because like they might have been abused, because like it's clear they don't have any support institutionally, like they're up against the system. Like I don't know. And at least that was kind of like my takeaway from it. And ultimately, I guess we'll have this one final question. We'll go ahead and sign off. How do you feel that you are being ruled by pedophiles?
Not great, but yeah, I'll just say, we got like a minute here.
Yeah,
Maybe.
but go ahead. Don't
Okay,
worry about going over.
Oh, so, okay, no worries. Yeah, about being ruled. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to take and I totally appreciate the sentiment and all that. I'm trying to take the approach that I'm trying to be as in control of my own life as I can, and I'm not looking the other way for all this type of crazy stuff going on. But yeah, it's very important to discuss these things. How do I feel? I mean, I don't feel great about it. Like I'd feel great about being ruled over. Now the thing is, like, I'd feel best not being ruled over by anyone but like God. But like I would feel, on a nation state level, I'd feel best being ruled over by someone who actually demonstrably cares about the everyman and is more action than talk. Like I need that. I need someone with tangible solutions. Um and I mean politically, but like I need that. And we have some sort of like beyond parity in not even the inverse. Like it's not even like it's incompetence. It's like we have these like crazy um like evil largely people in charge who are just doing things obviously for their and not our benefit. It's just so on its face clear. And most of what these debates that people have is like debates about how anything else it's just stupidity so that these guys can circle the wagons and just continue to do whatever their nefarious doings are, and we'll talk about do whatever the fuck else. And I'm like, yeah, no, like I'm interested in politics because I'd like to not be ruled over by such people. I'd like not just me being ruled over, but even the less fortunate. I just think what a rot. And trust me, I'm not doing great either. But like the like people that are really, really like people that sleeping in their car and people friggin' who's just got like squeezed out of their hometown because like a kabillion new people are here and stuff. I'm like, this is we need to be focusing laser focused on finding some system or leader or probably a great man in history to come along and take the reins and have some balls and say, yeah, like this is the score, folks. Like, and things are gonna have to be done differently than they were because this is a mess and we are trending towards insolvency as a country.
Right.
So,
Exactly. Somebody who can melt PC culture down, eliminate all of the all of it. It's going to be exactly what you said. And I think that is kind of the mindset behind the idea of accelerationism. Why don't we force the system to its knees so that we can expedite or accelerate this great man coming out from the shadows? Because I do think there are people who look at this and they go, if we don't solve this by the end of our generation, the next generation won't have enough time to solve it themselves. And so it's kind of like where we are at with things. It's like we are running out of time. This was a fantastic episode. I appreciate it greatly. I love when I can have a bit more of a natural kind of conversation with people. So before I do sign off, I want to make sure we turn it over to you. All of your links, from what I believe you had sent me, so let me find this, your YouTube, your Facebook, and your website are all in the description. So if people want to find you, they can find you there. And so anything else you want to shout out? We'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah, just my only Dan's. I'm on there. No, I'm fucking around. I have no, I'm
That's funny though.
Yeah, basically I started doing a pod. I take it a little bit less seriously than the offensively accurate situation here. But yeah, it's the Dan Bauer Power Hour, spelled PAUER HAUER 2. And I'm trying to drop those. I got honestly a lot of shit in my personal life from doing it for the first couple episodes. But you know what? Whatever. I'm not a hateful guy. You can't keep saying that. It's not true. So whatever. I'm going to keep making them. And those will be dropping. So I'll be doing that type of material. It's sort of like a clips and news solo show type thing. So that's goes on. You can check out my YouTube. Again, I'm on X at Dan Bauer Music 1, or I'm on Instagram just at Dan Bauer Music. I'll just say I think that I'm doing it holistically. For someone that enjoyed this interview, not to talk myself up here, and I'll put a bow on this real quick, but I'm actually doing the shit. Like I fucking play the guitar on my shit. I play the bass. I do everything. You know what I mean? Like to whatever, but like I feel like I'm an actual artist. Like there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, Drake put it on an album." Literally didn't produce any of the music on it. Just whatever. I'm like, no. I'm creating it all. Like so. I'm actually doing that, and I'm doing it like real in terms of like the videos and shit. I think a few of the videos I put out for this on the latest album, the World War II, the Culture War, and the Fake World video, I'm very happy with them. They're sort of dissident type videos, but I think they're sort of unlike a lot of other videos that are out there these days. So if you're a fan or liked this conversation, feel free to check out the Dan Bauer Power Hour or just my music on wherever you stream music / the music videos. Most of my music videos live on YouTube, but the Culture War and the World War II literally aren't allowed on YouTube. So check them out on X in my highlights tab.
That's awesome. And again, thank you very much. This was an awesome conversation. Looking forward to doing this again sometime soon. And also looking forward to see you pushing out some more of your music and continuing to break through the mold. And as always, guys, this has been great. This has been another episode of Offensively Accurate. Christ is King. Ban women from public life. Deport Cash Patel. And hopefully one day we will save this country. It's been great. Everybody have a good rest of your night. I'll catch you guys next time. Take care.
What's good, everybody? This is Atlas Thug. As much as we have, it's currently a media blackout right now.
It's about a 10-minute video here. Get the libertarians out of this party, dude.
Part of a new series I'm going to be running called Bot or Not.
I grew up as a white man, and you're the exact opposite,
It's time we have a difficult conversation about race.
40 IQ points it needs to think about what is being told to you.
Most people are just blatantly apathetic to what goes on around in their surroundings, let alone this play.
A trans woman's penis make you gay?
Can I define to answer that comment?
The dating market is for men your age.
I'm not a misogynist. I'm a sexist.
Right. Like for example, like as a white man, I can go out and I could go right here in Columbus and scream the N-word as loud as I wanted to because I have that privilege. Those who would sacrifice a little freedom for a little convenience serves neither.
Titan says, Browns should be for whites. We were just trying to help them run a better empire.
Hey, truth.
But she's like, stock market. She's like, bro, like, I can't even buy a fucking house. Like,
and probably doesn't help that half the comments are, "Oh, you're not banned on YouTube." Man, how is this guy? How's this guy not banned on YouTube? It's like, yeah, I'm sure YouTube probably picks up on those things, and they're probably wondering why so many people are saying that,
And all these top brass pundits who have some kind of association or relationship with Epstein, it's getting to the point where you got to think like I'm about to go look at my residential history and be like, did I live next to Epstein for like some time? Like, man, everyone on this planet must have some relation to Epstein. And then you go, oh, actually, no. This is because the administration is all wrapped in together with it themselves.
And I said this maybe about a year ago. What if Christianity wasn't in such a cucked position that what if Andrew Tate, like Tristan, would have went to a Christian position? Fell for it again award, #1 right here. And you know what? I can't even make fun of the audience because I fell for it too. And that's probably what I'm most pissed about. He's huffing some extreme copium. Oh yeah, sister, you definitely owned him. Hey, can I see you after tonight? It's like that's what you're competing up against because or bad jacketing him and calling him a weird little gay.
Is this like alt-right corpse husband? What am I listening to?
Yeah.
Okay, stop it. This guy's gonna get into statistics, stuff like that.
Oh, no, statistics. Not we don't do statistics.